and carry heavy.
Oh, it's Kris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Y'all, welcome and happy Wednesday. It's your boy Kris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Kris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on currently in pop culture and hot topics. So that's a show for you. Definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including we got to talk about this upcoming. Oh wait, hold on, let me just leave the banner in since it's already there. Including the upcoming box office, we got to talk about the numbers regarding Melania's documentary. Plus, Rob Shutter put out some tea on that. We're gonna get to that as well. We got to talk about the numbers over there. Speaking of numbers, we got to talk about the ones over there at Star Search and Netflix. I don't see that show lasting past the first season if them numbers keep doing what they doing. Also, we got to talk about Billie Eilish is calling out celebs, her fellow contemporaries, for being silent over what's going on with ICE and all this other stuff. So we'll get into that. We got to talk this America's Next Top Model tea because I'm sure you already saw it by now. The trailer dropped about 2 days ago. One of the show's winners from season one, actually, Adrianne Curry, has been speaking out about it. People have been dragging her over the use of woke, and she's pushing back on it. So we'll talk about that and the nuances, everything that got to do with Top Model. Plus, I did see the trailer. So because the last time we was on the show, I was asked my opinion. I didn't get to see it. So I actually got to watch it. And I will give my overall thoughts on it once we get to that topic. Plus, we got to talk about Taylor Swift. How she feels violated over those texts between her and Blake Lively, or I'm sorry, Ku Klux Khaleesi being released on, in this little trial thing that she got going on with Justin Baldoni. So we'll talk about that. Plus, child, let me tell you, I was not expecting to hear this tea about Zac Efron apparently being caught up in some sex trafficking trial that's going on in New York City. We'll break that down. Um, what else? Oh, Chris Noth is also opening up about what caused his rift between him and SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, because we did talk about it on the show a couple of episodes ago, but we didn't, and I speculated, but now he's saying pretty much what I was speculating. So we'll get into that. Plus, we got to talk about this mess going on with Skyh Black from All the Queen's Men, sending Christian Keys a cease and desist. We also got to talk about François Arnaud is calling out the NHL because he feels that they're trying to use the show for clout and to sell tickets because the tickets aren't ticketing, especially if you've seen the way the Rangers been playing this damn season. Yeah, they're he's calling out. It's like, yeah, he's calling it out. We'll get to breaking that down when we get to it. I don't want to give too much of my thought on it in the headline or in the intro. And a snitch, we may finally know what caused Karamo to not show up for them promos over there at the promo tour for Queer Eye, because apparently I may know based off of some stuff that's been spilling out and about. The Daily Mail spilled this tea, and they want you to get behind a paywall and pay. Child, I found a way to get to that mess. I ain't never gonna go do no paywall, especially when I don't need to, especially when it comes to the Daily Mail. But anyway, so we may have the real reason what them queens over there had said about Karamo for him to not show up and unfollow all them messy rhymes with maggots on that show. So we have that, and we got to talk about Drag Race UK versus the World. I didn't even know the show came out, but apparently, there was an article that I came across courtesy of Pink News where it was about like how they deal with the messy fans online. Because the other day we was talking about that with the traders, and then I think also most recently the girls over there at Drag Race was going through it with some of the online trolls and stuff. Season 18 queens. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more. So before we get to those topics, if you please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Kris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Now that I got all that out of the way, let me hit the little comment thingy me jingy. I mean, I'll just leave it off, and then when the comments start coming in, I'll put it back in because I don't want to leave that the comments, the little headline crap. So I don't want to leave that in. But once the comments are pouring in, then I'll put the comments in. All right. So without further ado, since we're already into the show, let me get immediately into it because I know I'm running late. So I'm gonna just get right into it. And so let's get into our first topic. Let's talk this upcoming week's box office. So we got a couple of movies coming out. At this point, they're talking about that things are probably going to dethrone Avatar. Avatar has already been dethroned by that Mercy movie, but it wasn't by much. But there's other films that's coming out this weekend. Send Help is one of them, a Sam Raimi movie with Rachel McAdams and I always say Styles from Teen Wolf. Dylan O'Brien. So they got all of them coming out with a movie. The movie looks really good. It's been getting rave reviews, so I'm definitely gonna go see it this weekend. I'm also hearing they're gonna give like a little sneak peek of Scream 7 in the beginning, because I did start seeing little things leaking about Scream 7 that and it hasn't even been me or people sleuthing and looking for it. They're leaking it in the trailers. Like they showed one shot of Asa Gurman looked like he was meeting his demise. He plays the son of Anna Camp in the movie, and I think playing Tatum's boyfriend. And then we see another sequence with McKenna Grace where it looked like she's getting her life taken away from her in the theater, because it's like a big acting sequence that kind of calls back to Scream 2. Remember when Sydney at one point was going to be an actress and she did the college play and all that other stuff? And then that little thing happened. So yeah, there was that. But so other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing Send Help. There's some other movies coming out this weekend. There's another there's a Jason Statham movie coming out that I believe has not been getting promoted really well. But the story of the hour that I feel like what we all here to talk about or commiserate on is Melania. Because that movie is going to flop hard. I heard that overseas, there's somebody in the UK is faring even worse. So that there's one theater that only sold one ticket, and then there's another theater that sold to wait, hold on, let me pull it up because this is according to the Midas Touch before we get into the article. Because I did save it because I knew I was gonna have to use it as a point of reference. So yeah, Midas Touch says so tiny, Darnold, for Melania, the new documentary bankrolled by Jeff Bezos. The numbers speak for themselves. At London's flagship View Cinema, one of the UK's largest cinema operators, just one ticket was sold for the Friday 3:10 p.m. screening. The 6 p.m. showing, two tickets booked. This is the same film Bezos poured millions into licensing and distributing, directed by Brett Ratner, who also is a mess within his own right. They said, and he was also recently named in the Epstein files, all while Bezos was cutting jobs at the Washington Post. And not only that, but I'm hearing that Jeff Bezos planning on cutting more jobs at Amazon. So hoard the money, put less people at work. And then I will say this, I did cackle when Jeff and the Joker, that lady he married to, Lauren Sanchez, climbed about the car, and she could barely walk in the outfit she had on. She's waving, and as she was going into the building, she tripped, almost busted. I did laugh. Dope Queen Phoebe, shout out to her because I saw that on her Instagram. So, but nevertheless, now that we got all that out the way, so now according to Variety, they say it's not that the nation's movie theaters are floundering, but they could use a jolt after a recent winter storm contributed to the lowest collective weekend in the nascent year. I'm gonna say something before y'all keep trying to Variety and all y'all keep doing this. Can y'all stop trying to blame the storm? Because the storm happened on a Sunday. Friday and Saturday, anybody could have went to the movies to go see what they went to see. I went to the movies on Friday and I decided, and because I didn't find anything remotely interesting that came out this weekend, I didn't want to see Mercy. I don't particularly care for Chris Pratt. I think he is Looney Tunes. He's always kind of irritated me. So I didn't want to see him in a movie. And that movie didn't look all that interesting. If I wanted to see Minority Report, I'd put on Minority Report. I don't want to see a poor man's version, a Tubi sci-fi channel version of Minority Report. So I didn't go see it. Instead, I went to go see The Housemaid, which I had a much better time watching anyway. So, and this week I was like, I'm torn because I want to see Jason stay in the movie, and we'll get to the numbers that they're somebody's going to predict soon. But Send Help, a horror film, Sam Raimi, Rachel McAdams, Regina George. She'll always be Regina George to me, and and Dylan O'Brien. They already had me sold at that, so I'm going to watch that. I don't. It's not the storm. The fact of the matter was, there was nothing interesting in the movies this weekend. Everybody who wanted to see Avatar saw it. We're moving on from Avatar, and there was nothing interesting at the theater that was worth spending money on. So They said Disney and 20th Century Send Help might be a late January box office buoy, with the R-rated film aiming for number one with 14 million to 17 million from 3,475 cinemas. With great word of mouth and enthusiasm for original horror, industry watchers believe Send Help could exceed expectations and then stick around beyond its debut. At the international box office, the movie is predicted to bring in $10 million to $12 million. Now, Send Help cost $40 million to produce. Raimi, best known for the Tobey Maguire-led Spider-Man trilogy, returned to his horror roots with Send Help, having created the Evil Dead franchise and helming Darkman and Drag Me to Hell. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien star in Send Help as a looked-over employee and her toxic boss who gets stranded after a plane crash. In Variety's review, chief film critic Peter DeBruge, or Bruges, whatever, wrote that what's so much fun about Send Help is how unpredictable it manages to be for most of their time on the island. And I heard the people that wrote this script, I believe they said wrote Freddy versus Jason, which I actually liked. I liked Freddy versus Jason. I think, and damn, I forgot what was the other movie they said. Oh, I think they said they also had a hand in writing the Friday 13th remake, which I actually liked that one too. But then, which I don't understand why they didn't make another one, because I actually like the tone of that Friday the 13th. It was kind of playing in the same wheelhouse of like it kind of had like that same feel of the remake that they did with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it makes sense because it was produced by the same production company. So it kind of had like that documentary style 70s esque feel, vibe, look, that sort of thing. They also said Send Help won't have trouble. Send Help won't have trouble. Why am I having a hard time reading today? Leading the box office over a trio of newcomers: the sci-fi thriller Iron Lung, Jason Statham's action adventure Shelter, and First Lady centric documentary Melania. Now, I didn't know about what's Iron Lung about. I need to see that. I mean, I see that there's the picture and stuff is up in here, but I don't know anything about that movie. So they said Ireland could secure second place with 10 million. Meanwhile, Shelter is projecting a 5 million and 7 million bow. And Melania is hoping to earn $3 million to $5 million at the box office. So now they say in the case, Melania, a seven-figure start, is noteworthy for a documentary, especially one that isn't about a concert, but terrible for a film that cost 40 million to acquire. That's how much Amazon MGM, which is releasing Melania in 1,500 domestic theaters, spent for the rights before reportedly shelling out another 35 million in marketing expenses, a staggering sum for a documentary. The film is outsized interest, of course, because it's about First Lady Melania Trump in the 20 days before Donald Trump's second presidential inauguration. It's opening in theaters against a backdrop of political unrest, of course, with ICE raids in Minneapolis and other parts of the country prompting a bipartisan backlash. And what people need to also, this is what I thought was relatively hilarious, because this broad had the unlitigated gall to get her little flat ass on a screen, because it is flat, and try to talk about, stand down and stand by. You know what she was like, trying to, keep the peace and all the other stuff that's going on with ICE. I'm like, your husband and his administration is causing all this chaos, and now you trying to, cool the waters because you got a movie that's coming out this week that you want people to go see. Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked to see a movie about Melania. Nobody cares about you. Quiet as it's kept, they don't care about anybody else in this administration. Trump is a cult-like figure, and people are in that cult. They like the fact that, they have somebody who can make them laugh or whatever the case is. I mean, we all got relatives in our family that can do that for us. So I don't understand why you need your president to do the things that you have your uncle or that crazy drunk that you have in your family to give you the same things that you expect out of a president. No, I expect the president to come in and make sure the country works and does what it needs to do for the good of the people that it is representing. I don't need my president to be my friend. I got enough of those. So I don't understand these people. And I guess, it's easy to take advantage of people who are just like lost and easily manipulated. And it seems like that's a lot of his constituents any damn way. And now we see like there's infighting going on in the White House with Ice Barbie and the one nobody likes, not even in his own damn childhood, Stephen Miller, and all these other ones, all this infighting going on, the blame game, because now all these white people are getting killed. Now there was a list that came out, shout out to Pedro Pascal, and it's funny because I'm gonna probably bring him up again later because we have a story about Billie Eilish who was sitting there saying, getting upset with her celebrity peers for not speaking up about what's happening currently in this country with ICE and how they're just going around being chaos demons and picking on people and tossing women. And a woman lost a couple of fingers recently because they're out here pow pounding people. Then you got people throwing unidentified substances on Ilhan Omar. It's like, what kind of country are we living in where it's just psychotic? So nobody wants to see that movie right now. Quiet as it's kept, nobody wanted to see it then. Even if it never got to this point, nobody asked for that damn movie. But they decided to do it. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, this was some tax incentive. This was sort of Jeff Bezos buttering up to the president because he wanted to get his little tax breaks and not have to pay on what is it, like international tax or whatever the case is. You know how these corporations are. They love hoarding money. They don't want to pay the people that are working tirelessly to keep their companies afloat. They talk about they ain't got no money, but you got $75 million to spend on a documentary. Documentaries don't even cost that much. So why are you spending $75 million on it? And you thought that you were going to recoup the money? Or maybe he knew he was going to recoup the money. He just did what he had to do to get what he needed to get. And it was like, you know what? $75 million, that's sweat off my nose. That's nothing. $75 million. Yeah, $75 million to Jeff Bezos is pretty much $75 to us. So that's probably how he was looking at it. And was just like, you know what? I'll just take the L. Even though I know that this movie is nobody asked for it. It's boring. It's whatever. And then of course you got Brett Ratner, wide back ass, doing this damn movie. And he got his issues where he was accused of sexual harassment and things of that nature. And they're talking about sexual assault. I should be specific with that. And how so it's like all the offenders, y'all all like being in a cesspool with each other. Oh, they said so. Iron Lung apparently they said is another notable release because it hails from YouTube. Markiplier, the creator, whose real name is Mark Fishback, wrote, directed, financed, and stars of Iron Lung, based on the 2022 video game Markiplier, who boasts 73 million followers across digital platforms, including 38 million subscribers on YouTube, is also self-distributing the film. Set in a post-apocalyptic future, the story centers on a convict who is sent to explore a moon planet with a blood ocean in search of natural resources. That actually sounds relatively interesting. How have I never heard of him? Or maybe I did hear him. I'm not familiar with the name. But it's like, yeah, I never, and here we go. Because it's like, look, Chris Stuckman opened the door for YouTubers to pretty much come in and get their movies made by studios or whatever. But the thing I guess the difference with this is this guy's self-funding. He wrote, directed, produced, stars, market. He's doing everything out of his own pocket. So, but they talking about that movie might come in second over the weekend. So hopefully he makes his money back. Because I feel like any one of us in this YouTube space that makes it, that's pretty much, I always look at it as like there's hope for the rest of us out here who want to graduate beyond. Like I love being on YouTube. I like doing the things that I do, but there's other things I want to do as well. And if YouTube is a platform to catapult you to do other things, I think that's awesome. And it's a win for everybody in this space to want to get up and do other things. And then so they said Shelter is tracking a soft start against a 50 million production budget. The R-rated film was directed by Rick Roman Wow, the filmmaker behind a slew of Gerard Butler-led action thrillers. Yeah. Well, they said this from Greenland and Angel Has Fallen. Those movies, I actually like the Olympus, Angel. There was another one. There was three of them, but I like the Fallen franchises. They're entertaining. I'm entertained by them. And they said it follows a reclusive man who unwillingly sets off a violent chain reaction after he rescues a young girl from drowning in a terrible storm. Shelter is being released by newer distributor Black Bear, which plans to unveil the Matthew McConaughey-led The Rivals of Zaya King ensemble comedy Spy Weekend and Guy Ritchie's Wife and Dog over the next few months. Well, I've heard of Black Bear because Black Bear, I believe they've worked with um Jason Statham in the past. But yeah, if that's a soft start, Jason Statham, you might have to kind of diversify your portfolio. Because I told you, I said the one thing about Jason Statham, he ain't worried about no Oscar. He will sit and play the same character in every damn movie, and we eat it up. Maybe the people are just like, you know what? I'm tired of seeing Jason Statham play the same part over and over. Because me, I'm just like, oh, I already know what I'm getting with a Jason Statham movie. Kind of like how y'all felt with Dwayne Johnson. Y'all was living for Dwayne Johnson in the beginning. Then he got comfortable and started playing the same character over and over. And then y'all got tired of him, and the box office numbers started to show. But then again, if the budget is small for this film, they'll find a way to make the money back. Because the thing with Jason Statham movies always he don't go in, and it's not going to be a movie where they always spend 500 or $300 million on a movie. What is going on? Hold on, because now I'm saying, oh, because I was like, why is Facebook? Well, they tell me it's not streaming over there. Well, everybody knows if you're having issues watching it over there on the Facebook, come over to the YouTube. That's where it's streaming. The link is already on the channel. I mean, on my Facebook page. So anyway, let me just wrap all of this up by saying, oh wait, I can't wrap it up because I got to get into this Melania thing that I promised y'all. So. Rob Shutter went and posted this thing that happened, speaking of Melania, because he said that the movie prompts GOP buyouts as tickets sales stall. So hold on, because I'm going to pull this up. It's like when you got so many files and things open, it could be a headache. Hold on. I was like, let's not take 20 years now. Okay. So, yeah, according to his Substack, he said the following. He said, darlings, when a movie can't fill theaters on its own, politics doesn't just comment, it interviews. It intervenes. Now, sources tell Naughty But Nice that with ticket sales for Melania lagging badly ahead of release, Republican clubs across several conservative leaning areas have quietly begun buying out screenings, not out of enthusiasm, but out of sheer necessity, saying this isn't organic demand, one insider tells me. It's about optics. Empty theaters look terrible. So, according to multiple sources, party groups are reserving large blocks of seats, sometimes entire showings, then offering tickets free or at steep discounts to members and guests. In some cases, tickets are even being distributed through GOP affiliated websites instead of traditional box office channels. The scams with this administration, the scams will always scam at the end of the day. I just find it funny. So, y'all gonna sit up in here and buy up the theaters and offer people tickets at no price or maybe a possible discount. What makes you think they actually want to go and see this film? Even the GOPers that are very much pro-Trump or whatever the case is, do you really think that they want to go in and watch this film? Like, I don't feel that a lot of people are interested in wanting to go to see it. I don't even care if the shit was like, you paid, well, I was going to say, well, if you paid me $100 to go see the movie. I'm like, child, I could make $100 on my own. I don't need to sit through some damn movie with a woman who could barely speak English. Even though y'all deporting every goddamn foreigner under the sun, you got the one main foreigner who can't even speak a lick of damn English. As long as she been in this damn country as the first lady, make that make sense. So they said, there's see, as my point, they struggling to give the tickets away. Some screenings barely sell unless the party steps in. In a few locations, insiders say attendees are being asked to provide personal information, including employer and occupation, when reserving seats, raising eyebrows even among loyal supporters, saying it feels less like a movie night and more like a loyalty check. That's exactly what it is. Because you should, when we all go to the movies, we got to trust in the process of that. If you put something out there, people are going to go spend money to see it because they care enough about wanting to go see it. But now we're looking at it as like, nobody wants to see this movie. Nobody asked for this movie. This is a vanity project. I already said what I need to say about why I feel like Jeff Bezos decided to do this movie in the first place. So, it's proving my point. And now y'all sitting here like, how loyal are you to the cause? Quiet as it's kept, this cult ain't as big as y'all be trying to act like it is. Like a lot of people, what people don't realize, I keep having to bring this up. There's the Matrix and then there's the real world. And there's a lot of people who live online living for all the buffoonery, the tomfoolery, and the shenanigans. But then when it really boils down to it, they're not out here fully backing and supporting the thing. As long as they 401ks is good, as long as their companies are doing what needs to be done, they'll look the other way until you start affecting their wallets. And trust and believe, y'all gonna start feeling it in your wallets. We're a year or two in, give it time. That's when you're gonna start feeling the effects. And at that point, the orange fucker can't blame Biden because he ain't the president. So, and you already know I got my issues with Biden. And I don't feel like I should have to sit up here and hit all the sides before people come up here and accuse me of being a supporter of the blue MAGA, which is the last presidency. That's blue MAGA. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuckles, Schumer, all of them, that's blue MAGA. I don't support centrist democratic ideologies. If y'all ever pay attention, my political beliefs lean way more progressive than y'all seem to realize. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you surprised that Melania's documentary is going to flop hard at the box office? No matter how many tickets y'all sit up here and try to buy these people, or you try to, how many screenings or theaters you try to buy tickets for, you're not going to make that money back. Like, we're going to know y'all are full of crap because the numbers came out. They said it was going to be $5 million that it was going to bring at the box office, 2 million less. Now they're saying it's 3 million. So y'all are off. We will fully know the number until we come back and do Monday's show when I usually do the whole box office tally and we talk about it on here. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, now I can start putting stuff in here because y'all names is in here. I mean, y'all are in the building. Onyx is here. Black Love is here. Cleveland is here. I feel like I'm doing a presence check. Cleveland, present. Black Love, check. Beatrix Kiddo, here. He said no one wants to see the mail order. Well, you were being nice. I call her mail order whore. You call her the mail order bride for nearly 2 hours. As for the documentary, is why I watched the network TV. First of all, the damn thing, I don't even understand why they didn't put it on Prime Video. And then we could have found out how well it does there because quiet as it's kept, nobody's going to the movies to see no documentary. Unless it's put to music like a Taylor Swift or Madonna or Beyonce or something like that. Or most recently, we'll see how well the Billie Eilish one does when she brings that one out. But I don't see people want no, like, nobody's going to the movies to watch no thing about a bunch of rich people waddling around the goddamn White House. Like, who finds that fascinating? If I want to watch a bunch of people talking about political shit in the White House, I'd go watch old episodes of The West Wing. Like, I ain't got time to be seeing these posers who don't know dick about politics acting political for the cameras. I'd rather have my teeth pulled. And that's a lot of teeth. And that shit is painful. And you said Ireland looks interesting. I haven't seen Bone Temple or Primate. Well, what are you missing? What are you waiting for? It was like, because Bone Temple was good, even though Bone Temple could use the numbers right now. It's struggling at the box office. I'm still hoping. I'm still hoping they make the third. But then again, I'm gonna say this: if y'all had to torture us with three damn strangers movies that none of us asked for, and they were horrible, then y'all can give us the third 28 years later movie just to close out the trilogy. At least with the 28 years later films, they were experimenting, and whether or not you like some of the decisions that they made tone wise, whatever the case is, the movies are good. So, saying we can't say the same thing about The Strangers, which I don't like the idea they try to give these people more depth. It's like, the reason why we like The Strangers is because they were just crazy. Why are you doing this? Because you was home, because you were home, or whatever. You know, you were home, you were there, whatever it is that they say in each movie. I don't like that idea. Some people are just crazy because they're crazy. I don't need a whole background. But then they want to expand on it and give everybody a damn background, and we got to know their name. We got to know if they got a family member. Don't nobody care. Well, I don't. I just like sometimes I want my serial killers to be crazy. But yeah, and Primate was good. I had a good time with Primate, even though the dialogue was a bit juvenile and they were making so many stupid decisions in that movie. I had a good time with it. So I took it for what it was. They said won't see at the cinema. Wait until Netflix cinema. Well, look, it won't be on Netflix. It'll go to Prime Video before it goes to Netflix. Because that's why I said more or less people would actually go watch it on streaming. I think there's a genuine embarrassment that people have at this point with the Trump administration. So I do think there is a genuine curiosity that people do want to see the movie. They just don't want to be seen having to show their ticket and have it scanned and people judging you while you're going to sit up in that theater for 2 hours to watch it. So they like, I'd rather just be watching it in my house because y'all don't be kind of like the gay stuff, like Heat of Rivalry. Well, then again, a lot of people been shouting from the rooftops how much they've been watching Heat of Rivalry. So people ain't really in the closet about that. But you know what I'm saying. Whenever it comes to things that people deem embarrassing, they don't want people to know whether or not they're going to see it. They rather sneak and watch it at home. I mean, I might have actually just out of curiosity just checked it out just to get, or more or less what I would have did was I probably would have just watched the clips online and critique that. I know this isn't on the docket and I hate to bring it up, but the final pieces of my heart shattered when Nikki gave a cheek kiss. Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, it was intentional that I didn't bring it up here because I'm like, I bitch is cooked. I'm over her. I'm done. I don't want to talk about her anymore. She is a clown. She's a joke. And speaking of clown, did you see the white shoes she had on? I'm like, first of all, the gays pretty much quit her situation because it's clear she dressed herself in the dark. That hair looked a chopped ass mess. It was like way too much grease she had up in there. I don't know if that was her real hair, if that was a wig, but if it was a mess. And them clunky ass white shoes. I had a cackle with that because I did say, I said, who designed them shoes? Corey King? Because it was a riff off of last season where Corey wore them ugly ass shoes that Rue was clowning her over. But somebody brought up the Monica shoes in the damn, which music video was it? Was it one of them days I'm taking personal? Or was it before you walked out of my life? I can't remember when she was sitting on the curb and she had them ugly ass white shoes on. That's what they would say that looked like Nikki had on. I said, See, look, the designers ain't giving her stuff no more. So now she got to go down to I was going to say down to the Payless. Payless don't even exist no more. But whatever, Timu, you had to go down there and get some white shoes and put them on. And shout out, wait, I shouldn't shout her out because we don't like her. But Candace Owens, when she leaked that video, that audio of Erica Kurt, looking real happy that her husband was dead. But yeah, that was intentional. I don't want to bring it up because I'm just like I can't. Like I'm already. I want to be in a mood of like just going off and having my tangent. I don't know. Today I don't have the energy for it, but I found the energy for that little thing I just said. But yeah, it was just I can't. The scams are scamming. 'Cause, like everything that man comes up with is that gold card is a damn scam. But anyway, let's get back into the show. And speaking of Netflix, let's talk about Star Search. So apparently, Star Search came out last week. I believe the second week started yesterday, right? Because I think Tuesday and Wednesday they do 2 episodes, and so we'll go based off of the first week tally. So apparently, according to reports, which in a way I'm kind of not surprised when I heard this when this was sent to me earlier from friends of the show, Robert. He put it in. He always sends me things. Um, but yeah, the numbers really aren't doing that well over there at Netflix. So it looked like the America's Got Talents, oh, I'm about to drop my damn phone. But I had to keep my hands still. But anyway, so it looked like the America's Got Talents. It looks like the American Idols. It looks like all those type of shows don't have nothing to worry about because Star Search ain't really over there doing much for them to be worried about. So Netflix's reboot of Star Search won't be worrying the broadcast networks after all. They said the talent competition failed to hit Netflix's global top 10 charts in its first week, and it scored fewer than 2.3 million views on the service with its opening 2 episodes. I did hear the reason why that may have happened is because there were picture quality and audio problems, which think that's what I in the back of my mind, that was a fear that I had because this has happened before. Whenever you watch like live streams on Netflix, it's always like a pixelation situation, like it's rendering, like you see a little circle that's always spinning or whatever, like, and then it looks a little messy or whatever. So the pixelation is not always on point, and then there's audio issues. So I don't know if Netflix is trying to play in this wheelhouse of doing the live streaming, but I don't know if they've fully gotten their ish together in regards of the audio and the live streaming and all that stuff. So that's something y'all really got to be working on. Maybe they're so busy trying to windmill, keep the spray over there, use that whatever that spray is ice be using on regular people in the street. They probably trying to busy using that spray over there on Paramount to keep them at bay so they can get this deal to go through because Paramount's still sniffing around thinking they're gonna get their hands on Netflix. I mean on Warner Brothers, so maybe they've been so busy worrying about this deal that they haven't been paying attention to all the little things that they need to be paying attention to, which is making sure that these things work. But then again, it makes me wonder: is like, do people even care about competition singing shows anymore? Because while I was like, I think I was only interested in Star Search because of the nostalgia of it, because it's something that I grew up on. I told you my contemporaries like Usher, Britney Spears, Aaliyah, may she rest in peace, Rosie O'Donnell, so many big stuff. I think Kevin James, all of them have graced the stage of Star Search back in the day with Ed McMahon. Even yeah, there was just a lot of even Beyonce and all of them when they was girls' time. Before they was Destiny Child, they was girls' time. They all went on Star Search to make a name for themselves. Justin Timberlake was on there too, as Justin Randall, which is his middle name. It's funny how I remember all of that. But anyway, so um with all that being said and everything, it's just like maybe it's just the nostalgia of it all. But to be honest, I don't know if in this day and age, because I think I've outgrown singing competition shows and dancing, like that whole type of talent show vibe thing, because I've outgrown that. I feel like I'm not the demo for that. And to be honest, I think that the people that are more or less would be for Star Search would be my parents' age. My parents were in their 70s. So um they would be more or less for Star Search. But then again, they will watch. Let me tell you something. This is what always irritates me. I gave them like I'm trying to get them in the streaming service thing, and so I've had them subscribe. Like they have my Hulu, they have my Paramount Plus, they have my Prime Video. I've had them wrapped up on all the stuff because you can make multiple things and they can use it. And the good thing is if you don't live together, you can have them on the thing and you don't have to worry about it not working. Except I believe Netflix the only one. But I have my own Netflix, so I ain't got to worry about that. Everybody got their own stuff with that. But all the other streaming services, I try to get them in. They still won't be watching it. They'll be like, my mom's like, I gotta watch my shows on regular TV and all this other stuff. So she sits and will still, even though I've given her Paramount Plus, and I'm like, your Matlock, your NCIS and all of that is on Paramount Plus. She will still record stuff on the regular TV and watch it that way. And it's just like, ma'am, but they can't. But then again, I think what it is when you get so overwhelmed with all these streaming services, you can't remember what everything is. It's like with me, because I do this, media stuff. I know that if you want to watch anything from Fox or FX or any of the other channels, you go to Hulu. If you want to watch CBS affiliated stuff, you go to Paramount. If you want to watch, Prime, it has its own little hub. And Disney Plus connected with Hulu. So, for not for long, because now they're about to get swallowed up into Disney Plus. So you have all these things, but I know it's hard and it's overwhelming for people to even remember what everything is on. So maybe that's what it is. It's like a lot of older people aren't able to adapt as quickly as we can with a lot of things. So maybe my point of all of this is because there is a point is that maybe Star Search would have fared better on network TV. Then we could have talked about it from there. So maybe that's what could have happened. But they also said the show was, however, able to crack the top 10 in the US. It came in number 5 behind His and Hers, which I've heard that was good. I got to check that out. Skyscraper Live. I have no idea what that is. I thought it was going to say Free Bert and Ernie, but they say it's Free Bert and Agatha Christie's Seven Dials and Above WWE Raw. Funny enough, I want to see Agatha Christie's Seven Dials. because the trailer looked interesting. But then I started hearing mixed reviews and it kind of turned me off. But I'm like, you know what? Screw these critics. I'm gonna watch it anyway because I love a mystery. And sidebar, did y'all hear that they're doing a Murder She Wrote remake with um Jamie Lee Curtis as Jessica Fletcher? I'm like, that might actually be interesting. You might check that out when that gets done. So they said the result will be a disappointment for the streamer, which was hoping the Star Search could give a splashy entry into the world of broadcast style entertainment format. Excuse me, formats rivaling the likes of NBC's The Voice, Fox's The Masked Singer, and ABC's American Idol. It wasn't for the lack of star power, because they have Anthony Anderson, who just recently revealed that he's dating Roxy Diaz, who used to be over there in 106 in Park, and has judges like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Chrissy Teigen, and as I call him now, Spring Roll, because he's no longer Jelly Roll. And the show, which runs over 5 weeks, launched on Tuesday, January 20th, with its second episode on Wednesday. The opening show had 4 musical performances. Child performers Adrianne Williams, who sang the Jackson Five's I'll Be There, against Blair Kudelka, who sang Blue, originally recorded in 1958, but as y'all know, was famously covered by Leanne Rimes. The boy band Too Big, which is spelled 2BYG, who sang a cover of NSYNC's It's Gonna Be May in January, against Australian girl group Horizon, which is spelled H3RIZON, who took on Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. On the dance front, French troupe Lady Metri took on Movement 55. And the highlight of the second episode was Bear Bailey's cover of Hard Fought Hallelujah by Brandon Lake and Spring Roll, who caused the latter to cry. Now, executive producer Jesse Collins, who runs the eponymous production company that makes the show, called it before the launch. Speaking with Deadline, he said, "If I had to wager, I think Jelly Roll cries first." The show was largely streamed live, with viewers given the opportunity to vote from home using their remote controls or phones. The live element also doesn't seem to have been a problem with the ratings. Netflix's Skyscraper Live, which saw Harnold climb Taipei 101. I didn't even know that was actually a thing. Y'all was sitting there watching somebody climb a damn mountain. One of the world's, well, a skyscraper, sorry. It came in at number 3 on the streamer's weekly charts. Well, look, if there's crazy things that we sit and watch on Instagram, and the now defunct TikTok made that recipes, because I already I didn't tell y'all. Yeah, I deleted TikTok. Shortly after I got off this live the last time, I was like, I'm done with TikTok, because especially speaking of the Ellisons and what they doing over there, and how Larry Ellison is good friends with Netanyahu. Yes, connect the dots. That's why they went and took it over, because if you mention certain words like Epstein and Zionism and this, that, and the other, you get flagged over there on TikTok. So I was like, goodbye. So, but they said the latest iteration of Star Search was okay. They said was originated. Well, they said the latest iteration of it was originated by Taraji P. Henson, who was working with Village Roadshow, which owned the Star Search IP before it filed for bankruptcy. So Henson is an executive producer alongside former Village Roadshow boss Steve Moscow. Okay. Well, that's cute. I'm glad that Taraji out here still working, get her little coin or whatever, but I still stand on it as, like, I don't know if people are that interested in these type of competition things, or maybe it's just the fact that when it's on a streaming service, it's different than wanting to watch it on TV, or maybe they need a little hook like The Masked Singer or whatever to get people interested. I just don't know if people are just that interested in it, but at the end of the day, I do want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Why do you think that Star Search is struggling in the ratings? Do you think it has to do with the fact that, yes, it's on a streaming format and that's not something that people are used to? Do you think maybe the judges aren't interesting, or do you just think that that whole competition before judges thing and the voting is just old hat? I mean, I heard that that in the US the voting thing was working, whatever, but can international people also vote, or do they care not to vote? Like, who's the voting thing specifically for? Is it for everybody that's able to see it worldwide? Like, and how do you work all that out? So I definitely love to hear from y'all. Let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below. I didn't understand why would they reboot a 40-year-old show that nobody. Well, you know what? I'm going to agree with you on that because I was thinking about that in the beginning, but I was told you I was in my whole nostalgia bag because I was just like, yeah, I grew up on this show as a kid. So, but I do agree. It's like, why would you create a show, especially when we didn't have a lot of options coming up. So yeah, Star Search was the big show to go on if you wanted to showcase your talent. But since then we've had, like they said, The Voice, America's Got Talent, American Idol, So You Think You Could Dance. Like there's been so many different shows that have came out over the year. America's Next Top Model, RuPaul's Drag. We can even put all those in there. A Project Runway, like so many different things that have highlighted different sorts of talents in the reality TV space or whatever, or competition space. And that could be it. It's like we've had so many other shows that kind of took your idea because Star Search is the grand, I was gonna say grand dame. People use the grand dame or the grandma, the grandpa, the grand duke, whatever you want to call it. It's the Godfather. That's the word we'll go with because I was looking for a G word. I'm looking for a G word, baby. And so it's the Godfather of all the competition shows. So since then, you're gonna have shows that, of course, Star Search is the reference point, but you got this added twist that you could put onto it. Because it's like, yeah, you have them go up, two people go up against each other, you give them your scores, you choose which team you like the best, and they move on. So that's basically what Star Search is. But it's like, yeah, I do agree. Why would you bring up a show nobody asked for? Like, why would you think Star Search? And it just goes to show that, yeah, it's definitely a Gen Xer came up with it because Taraji P. Henson is a 50-something-year-old woman. And her producing this, that sounds very much like Gen X tease. And that's another thing too. I don't think the shows create stars because once upon a time, American Idol was a show that we all used to watch. And yeah, you created so many stars. We created Fantasia. We had Screaming for Hudson. You had Kelly Clarkson, who was the first out the bag to win. Sidebar: I did hear the tea that this might be Kelly Clarkson's final year of doing that talk show. So we had that. Then we got The Gakin, Ruben Studdard. Who else? Adam Lambert. David Archuleta. So many great iconic performers. Carrie Underwears. So many people that came out of, American Idol. I can't name one person to come out of The Voice. And we've had people that came out of So You Think of Dance. We had Twitch. May he rest in peace. And so many others. Joshua Allen. May he rest in peace. He just died a couple of recently. Um, Comfort. So many people that came from that show. And so I they don't create stars anymore. And I can't see them creating somebody that stands up. I mean, I can't put the X Factor in there because they did create stars. They created One Direction. They created Little Mix. They created Fifth Harmony. They created stars. So we can't put X Factor. Even though the X Factor in the US lasted one season, we got Camila Cabello and them out of that. So and Norma, and he not in the room, right? Bormani. Yeah, I know what certain person I hate when I call her that. It's like Sailor Mermaid not in the building. I can say it. But anyway, he said Netflix out here buying cheap equipment. That's another thing too. I always be scared about it's like, yeah, y'all are using cheap equipment. And yeah, like if you want, you got to put in that high quality time. Look, if these if Meta and all these other people can sit up here and buy whole blocks just to put their stupid, battery or whatever things in there to create all this AI and kill our environment, then you could do a little energy burning by giving us some high quality Wi-Fi. Because the the one thing I will say about Netflix, and I do agree with you when you saying the whole cheap equipment, because Netflix be buffering at times, and I'm like, as old as this damn streaming service is, like you're the godfather of streaming services, y'all still running on some cheap stuff. I'm Gen X, and trust me, I'm not watching. I agree with you that competition shows might be running dry. Yeah, it's like I think we've all moved on from the competition shows. And the only people that really stick with them are like I said, people my parents' age, because it's just there and it's comfort. food, and that's what they've been used to. I've been watching this show for this many years. Might as well keep it going. Me, I'll grow stuff eventually, or out of sight, out of mind. I'm like, once the show's done, I'm not really interested in trying to go back and visit it. And Melanie Martinez competed. Oh yeah, she did. I keep forgetting that she did. She has a beef with ex Tina. Morgan Wallen also competed but did not win. Child, I didn't even know Morgan Wallen came from that show. But look, he one of the most successful country acts at the moment. I remember watching Star Search and Solid Gold with Marilyn McCoy. Not you bringing up some damn Solid Gold. Yeah, that was before my time too, but I do remember the show. Only as reference points. Because there was this one video that I saw where this guy was talking about how maybe I should look it up. Because I do have it in. This child, now there's some damn I just saw that video of Bill Cosby. I mean, that article on Bill Cosby with TMZ. I was like, nope. The dock is already packed. I'm not getting caught up in that. We'll say that story for tomorrow. Cause they saying that he admitted that he would use certain drugs to, put women under some stuff. So let me see if I can find that thing, because there was this one article, this one video of this guy that was talking about where is it? Oh, I got it. That's not, I want to try to hit. Pause, damn it. Oh, because it was about like millennials and how we know a lot about pop culture versus, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, because of like how we grew up in the age of cable TV and stuff. And I was like, that's reminding me a lot of the conversation that we having now. So I was like, just for context, we're gonna play it on this channel and we gonna come back and talk. Please help.
The real reason why millennials know a lot about pop culture before they were born, whereas Gen Z don't, is way more fascinating than you think. A lot of people have made the observation that it seems like millennials and Gen Xers have a rich knowledge of pop culture, like movies, TV shows, and music from decades and decades before they were ever born, whereas Gen Z and Gen Alpha don't seem to have much of a frame of reference for pop culture that was prior to their own lifetime. And I know there's exceptions. I know that you, the Zoomer that's watching this, has a vast knowledge of pop culture before you were born, but I'm talking about in general. And the reason for this is because millennials, and to a certain extent Gen Xers, grew up in what I like to call the dawn of cable television. Now, cable TV was actually invented in the late 1940s in order for people living in remote areas to be able to watch TV, and it developed throughout the 1970s as a way to receive premium pay channels like HBO. But it didn't really explode in popularity and mass adoption until the late 80s and early 90s, with over 85% of American families having cable and the number of channels ballooning into the hundreds. Prior to this, there was just a handful of network TV stations, and they were only on for a limited amount of the day. At some point, they would just go off air and come back on the next morning. But cable channels were on for 24 hours a day, and because they weren't competing for network airwaves, they could be about anything. This is when we got our first ever dedicated subject channels like Comedy Central, which was a channel that was all about comedy, or Cartoon Network, which was a channel that only showed cartoons. The reason why companies did this is because in the 1980s, television was becoming a much more important part of the average American's life, and they realized that there was a lot more opportunity for profit with advertising if they just upped the amount of content that they were able to show us. And so they started spinning off all these channels with all these different themes. But the issue is that they just didn't have the content to fill the 24-hour slots. So the way these companies were able to fill out their 24 hours of programming was just by buying old libraries of movies and TV shows and then just playing them all day. This is the very reason why me, somebody who grew up in the 90s, has a vast knowledge of references from the 1930s and 40s, because I grew up watching Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network. Because Turner Broadcasting, the creator of Cartoon Network, bought the WB Looney Tunes library and used that content to fill their time slots. The reason why millennials have this vast knowledge of old pop culture is because when we were kids, television had become a very major part of our lives, and we were just sitting there passively being shown all of this content because they were just trying to fill these time slots. Meanwhile, Gen Z and Gen Alpha have grown up in a time where they are embarrassed with new content. Every single day, hundreds of movies and TV show episodes and videos on the internet and songs are released. You could spend the rest of your natural life just trying to catch up with the stuff that came out in the last year. And if something's already been out for a week, it's old news. So they're just trying to keep up with yesterday, let alone are they going to watch some B movie from the 1970s. So a lot of millennials and Gen Xers make fun of them for this, but I think it's understandable. But what do you think?
No, I agree. It is definitely understandable because I feel like I'm in that boat where I try to keep up, and like he was saying, like I think that's affecting all of us. It's not just affecting Gen Zers and Gen Alpha, because I feel like a lot of times I'll be trying to keep up with shows or whatever the case. Wait, hold on, let me take this out. Why? I was like, why was this showing on my Facebook stuff? Because I was trying to look for the comments in regarding to that article. So yeah, so I definitely feel him on that, because I was like, at some time, at this points where I feel like I be struggling to keep up with stuff. I be trying to watch certain TV shows. I'm so overwhelmed with a lot of things that's going on with YouTube. Like I try to catch up on YouTube videos, and then I be feeling like, you know what, I'm never gonna catch up. Might as well just delete it, clean house, whatever the case is, because it just becomes, excuse me, too much to try to keep up with. So it's whether it's that, whether it's movies or whatever the case is, it's hard. So I just try to do the best I can and hope for the best. But some of the comments, I had one person or thinking their generation invented this or that. Well, that's where the education and the schooling comes in. Another person said, well, Den Vetta said, facts, this is a valid explanation. I was working with a Gen Z chick, and she was talking about how she loved EDM and other electronic dance music. I mentioned Donna Summer. She never heard of her. I didn't even want to mention Giorgio Moroder or Kraftwerk. He just looked at her like, child, what you gonna do? So yeah, there's that. And it's like, yeah, you can't sit over here and talk about EDM, electronic dance, and not know the people who were the pioneers of that. You got to bring up people like Frankie Knuckles and Larry Levan and Giorgio Moroder, the iconic dance music producers and people who moved and shook this and shaped this, and the thing that we love today. And you can bring up all the other ones like the Daft Punks and all the other stuff, but that was always a thing when I was growing up. But I guess it's because I come from that whole millennial era, which is when, we had the point of reference, we had the CDs, the liner notes and stuff. And when I listened to music or I would watch certain things, I wanted to know who was behind all of the production and who helped put the stuff together. I was always interested. So I was reading those CD books with with a fine tooth comb. I was like, who produced this? Who worked on this? Who was the engineer? That's how I knew people like Marius DeVries and Mark Spike Stent and all these other people that were a part of the music industry, because I knew these were the people that worked behind the scenes, that were the ones that were helping out. It wasn't just the producer. They always had other people who were working with these artists on twiddling the knobs and making sure the sound and everything was good. So that was always like my thing that I was interested in. Now that I'm done with Gilmore Girls, I probably will not be watching an entire TV show. It takes up too much time, and I much rather have spend doing something productive. Oh, that's why I said, like, I just don't be having the patience either. Like, it's still like me, and I told you I started rewatching Supernatural. It took me almost a year to get through that whole thing. I'm still not even done. I'm currently on season 9, and there's 15 seasons. So, and I even Lord know the SVU got like 29. 29,000. It's hard to keep up in these day and age. It's like it's too much stuff and not enough time in the day to get through doing what you got to do. And especially when I be doing these shows and putting all this stuff together, you know how much time that is? That's consuming. So by the time I'm done with this show, I don't even have enough time to catch up on the things I need to catch up on. But anyway, let me catch up on some of these. One thing I am going to catch up on is these topics. So let's get into our third topic. And let's talk about Billie Eilish. So Billie Eilish recently spoke out. Well, she's one of the very few that has spoken out about her fellow celebs, calling them out for staying silent about ICE in the wake of Alex Pretty's murder. They want to call it shooting death. No, that dude was murdered. I almost said MFer, because that's always the quote unquote, the way I talk, whatever. I was like, no, we're gonna call it what it is. This man was murdered for trying to help a woman that these beta males, pussy ass hoes, was going around just throwing on floors and dragging her, and you're all surrounding her like you're going to do something crazy with her. And I don't put none past ICE with the essays because there's been stories coming out about them doing that too. So let's get into this thing with what Billie Eilish had to say. So in a Monday morning post on her IG story, which was January 26th, by the way, so it was 2 days ago, the pop star shared a photo of herself looking quizzically at the camera, saying, "Hey, my fellow celebrities, you gonna speak up?" Now, shortly prior, Eilish had reshared a couple of posts about the death of Alex Preddy, who an ICE agent pow-powed and red-rummed on Saturday, January 24th, during a immigration enforcement operation. What you mean? They were terrorizing them damn people like they a bunch of damn terrorists that they are. And they're not even law enforcement. What their job is to do is to round up immigrants. You're part of me dealing with why do we have ICE going around just walking around the street like some damn stormtroopers in a Star Wars movie? Like I don't understand how they even have that, power. But then again, when you have the current president using them as his personal Gestapo, this is what we get. So now this current administration, or sorry, this regime, because it's not even an administration, it's a regime. Let's start changing and calling it for what it is. Has claimed that the office was acting in self-defense, which we saw also in the video, and determined we don't even need more to determine this was a damn lie. Alleging that Preddy was threatening violence with his handgun, but multiple videos taken by witnesses on the scene show that Preddy did not appear to be holding his gun. First of all, it was on his person, and he had a license to carry. He went over there to help the woman, and they saw he had a gun. The ICE agent grabbed it, and then they shot him a couple of times. I believe didn't they say about 9 times? But I'm sure, like once we hear what the autopsy report is, we'll determine how many times this young man his life was taken, or how many times he was pow-powed before his life was taken. So then they said both the videos, he did not appear that he was holding a gun during the confrontation, and that a federal agent had already seemingly removed it from Preddy's holster before the 37-year-old Minneapolis man was pow-powed. Now, Preddy's family said that the ICU nurse had a permit to carry a concealed handgun in Minnesota, according to the Associated Press. The 9-time Grammy winner's brother and frequent collaborator, Finneas, shared his take on the situation in a video, which Eilish reposted on her story. The saying, quote, "The conservative argument that allows school pow-powings to continue has always basically boiled down to, quote, we have to protect the Second Amendment," the visibly heated producer says in the clip. Well, I should say end quote before I said the visibly heated producer. Now, another quote: "Every argument I've seen for why Alex Preddy's unaliving was justified yesterday is like, well, he had a gun." And it's funny how all you Second Amendment people that run around love that you waving around that Second Amendment like it's a badge of honor because you only know 5 words in the whole situation: the right to bear arms. So y'all know that part, but you don't know everything else that goes into what is required of the Second Amendment. So when it's somebody on a team that you don't agree with politically, first of all, you don't even know what his political beliefs are. You're just making an assumption because they're out there going up against ICE, who is going after not just immigrants, but American citizens. So immediately, when you go against anything that has to do with Trump or pushing back against fascism or whatever the case is, you automatically assume they're a lib. We're owning the libs. As long as we own the libs, everything is copacetic, correct? This is how they think, childishly. First of all, I shouldn't even throw it on the kids because some of these children already got way more sense than you adults. So you don't even know how this man leans politically. He went over there because he was as according to people, he was a loving, caring human being. He worked as an ICU nurse. So he loved and cared for people. So immediately when you're seeing a woman in distress and they're going around assaulting and throwing women around like rag dolls, a real gentleman would go over there and actually help a woman in need, to offer a hand and help them out if you see a woman in peril or whatever the case is. You don't just look the other way or just hold up your phone like it's just some weapon that you could use against us. Because it's funny, these phones, yes, I'm glad that people are out here recording or whatever the case is in this situation, but it don't seem like the phones are doing anything. Or maybe it is. Maybe what the phones are doing is raising awareness. And that way it keeps people knowing what's going on. Because then again, with the phones, it gets to kill the narrative that a lot of these weak ass network corporate owned media conglomerates are out here trying to push a certain narrative that is not true. So because they're cut to these corporations, and a lot of these corporations are in bed with the presidents and whatever. Because I've heard people say, "Well, we need to get rid of Trump and get a Democrat in office, and things will change." I'm like, so you think the buck gonna stop with him? I mean, at the end of the day, the corporations and the politicians, once we get corporate money out of politics, is when we'll start to see real change. Because it don't matter, red or blue, as long as they will take money from a lot of these corporate oligarchs, shit will still remain the same. Things are never going to change. So it doesn't matter. I don't think things would have gotten this bad under Kamala's administration, but trust and believe she would have been taking money from these corporate lobbyists and would have been, and they all would have been benefiting in some sort of way. I'm not saying to this extent, and ICE would have been doing all they doing. This is all on him, that current one in the White House. But I'm just saying, like corporate people, corporate money in politics is the problem. So now then, so yeah, they said, well, he had the gun, so whatever. So now that I've moved on from my whole Second Amendment thing, so Phineas goes on to say, shut the fuck up. This guy was being beaten to a pulp on the ground. He didn't draw his weapon. He had a weapon on him legally, and they still shot the F out of him. Now, both Eilish and Finneas have been vocal in their opposition to ICE's continued occupation of Minneapolis, which has now resulted in 2 civilian deaths. And also, we were hearing this thing about Pam Bondi's talking about that they want they want the numbers or whatever in regards of like the Minneapolis voting situation, the logs or whatever. Because I think what they want to do is they want to go in there, they want to look at the numbers and try to flip the Minneapolis red or whatever. I'm like, but don't you need people to actually vote for a red politician in order for it to turn red? So all of this got to do with y'all don't want the midterms to happen, so that way y'all will be held accountable for the treachery, the tomfoolery, and the horrors that you've been, and the trauma that you've been causing and inflicting on everyone in this country for the past year and a month. So, Mary said, what else? Oh, there was been 2 civilian deaths because y'all already know about Renee Good being unalived by Jonathan Ross, who he says was acting in self-defense when he wasn't. I already told y'all this before. The reason why, like, they're hiring everybody and anybody without real background checks, hiring perverts, PDF files. Children have been SA'd under these ICE agents. I believe it's supposed to get 6 months of training before you actually move on to become a full-fledged ICE agent. They're only getting 47 days, and it's because the moron in the White House wanted it 47 days because he's the 47th president. Wish this shit was just something I could just pull out of my ass and just be telling y'all. But you can't be surprised by any of the buffoonery that comes from these clowns that they got running up in there. So, um, so Eilish went on to say this. She went on to say, "We're seeing our neighbors being kidnapped, peaceful protesters being assaulted and unalived, our civil rights being stripped." She said this while accepting the 2026 MLK Jr. Beloved Community, not beloved, because I'll be thinking, beloved, how we use it in a shady term, Beloved Community Award for Environmental Justice on January 17th, adding that many Americans no longer feel safe in our own homes or in the streets. Oh yeah, because they're kicking in people's doors too and pulling them out of their houses. One man, I think, was coming out of the bathroom, was dragged out into the street, humiliating and putting handcuffs in his underwear. So this is what they're doing. They don't even have warrants. They're just kicking in people's doors, violating. Like, this is giving very much Nazi Germany. That's what this is all giving. Taken clearly out of, and it probably was in Project 2025 as well. But it's clearly coming out of the Nazi fascist handbook from the 1930s. Now, one star who has joined Eilish in speaking up is another singer by the name of Olivia Rodrigo, who has posted all about the violence unfolding in Minneapolis. She did that over the weekend and said ICE's actions are unconscionable, but we are not powerless. Our actions matter. I stand with Minnesota. So she's been saying stuff. Also, Pedro Pascal posted something on his social media with the list of people who were killed in the ICE. Hold on, let me see if I still if I still have that, because I do believe I saved it. Or I might have deleted, but I don't think I deleted everything from the what I recently deleted. Oh yeah, I still got it. So yeah, he posted ISIS killed 9 people so far in 2026. Because the funny enough, this is what irritates me about the fact, shout out to Pedro Pascal for being, Pascal is punk. That's his Instagram if you want to follow him. But one thing I love, and him and Javier Bardem, those are two Latino actors that have been speaking up, Hispanic actors. So they only bring up Alex Pretty and Renee Good, but y'all need to say the other people names too. Just like how we did with Black Lives Matter, say their names. We're gonna do it here with the people that's being assaulted by ICE as well. So we got Alex Pretty, Renee Good, Keith Porter, Herbert Sanchez Dominguez, Victor Manuel Diaz, Parady La. Then we have Luis Beltran Yanez Cruz, Luis Gustavo Nunez Caceres, Geraldo Lunas Campos, and those are and Geraldo Lunas Campos. So we have all those names. So it's literally 9 people that we know so far whose lives have been taken by ICE. And so they also said, yeah, they deserve remembrance. They all deserve justice. And hopefully we'll be able to get this, because I feel like the next person that gets up in this White House, the days of we don't look backwards, we look forwards, those days is over. Yeah, that was something Obama said when he got in office after George W. Bush caused the chaos during his tenure in the White House. So we're not doing that. Those days is over. And I'll wait for the next Democratic administration to catch up with it, because it seemed like y'all still in denial, thinking that the old way of America still exists. Nah, sledgehammer been taken to that. That world no longer exists. So you either shit or get off the pot, or move to the side and let somebody, a progressive, come in who actually wants to be the change they want to see in the world, and not, you know, this crap that y'all out here just, acting on. Well, we don't have the what? We don't have the House, and we don't have the Senate. So we can't do nothing. You got a mouth, right? You got a social media. Fight. That's what people want to see. They want to see that there's some type of fight in you, because if you're thinking that you're just going to show up in 2020 and be like, oh, yeah, we hate Trump, and think that that's going to get y'all the White House, then y'all going to keep losing, because that's not how you're going to win it. So shout out to Billie Eilish. Shout out to Olivia Rodrigo and so many other celebrities who actually have the cojones to get up out there and speak up against the atrocities of the world. I'm not saying that everybody should be able to do it, because not everybody has the bandwidth or whatever that want to take that on and want to rock the boat and speak out. But if you have it within you to speak out on it, then that should be when you get out there and say what you need to say. Don't just do it because, oh, you being forced to do it, because then it comes across as performative and it doesn't come across as authentic. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and what Billie Eilish had to say regarding what's currently going on in this country regarding ICE? I definitely want to hear from y'all, so let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. Oh, I saw somebody said that he got what he asked for. Well, somebody needs to take your ugly ass life. How about that? There's always going to be some trolls up in here. Now that I'm done with Gilmore Girls, I probably will not. Oh, I read that one already. Some said we need to bring 24 or 32 episode season. 32 episodes? When have we ever had that many? We always had like maybe 22, 23 tops. And you said, because some of the writers come from that era, and you could tell when they want to do a solo character episode or flashback. Yeah, I don't feel like you can well, it depends on the type of story you're willing to tell. If you're going to do those serialized dramas, that you could tell us a story with 32 episodes or whatever case. Sometimes I feel like it's filler. I do feel like you could probably do 12 to 13 episodes and cap it off that way. But if you have it within you that you need to break it down and tell 22 episode stories, then it's required. But I feel like they ain't trying to spend that kind of money, because look, we're just talking about how with what's his name, with Law and Order SVU and Ice-T, they ain't got the budget. because I guess they making budget cuts and stuff over there at NBC. So his time on the show has been cut down, which is like, it's fine. I can go off and do other things, and that's a good thing when you're an OG in the game. It's like I could pop up every now and again in the episodes, as long as my salary don't get cut. I'll come in, I'll still do episodes, but at least it allows me to kind of do other things. Whether if I'm a painter, I can spend some more time painting, raising my kids if they're small, or work on music if you're a musician, podcast if you're a podcaster. You really think that he gonna get rid of her because of over this whole thing with just about Donnie and Blake Lively? I don't see that happening. Do you think Democrats will turn things around if they win? No, I don't. I feel like they'll try to go back because what they're gonna have. I feel like the only thing they can do right now. Well, one of the things you're gonna have to denounce what Israel and them is doing over there. They're not going to do that because you still got Gavin Newsom corny ass where he just sat down with that old whiny numbnuts little bitch Ben Shapiro or Shit Piro and was sitting up there talking about. You couldn't even call what happened to the people in Gaza a genocide. Like, if you can't even debate some whiny little twerp on your own podcast, then you're not going to be able to do it when you get in a room on a debate and you get a Republican that goes against you and calls you out or whatever, which goes to show that everything that your PR people have been doing on social media with the tweets and clapping back at the Trump administration, whatever this young person is, he need to kind of stick a cord in the back of your neck and type some of that shit up in your brain, because it's like when you actually sit there and start saying the things you need to say, you come across sounding like you're just a contradictory. You're just contradicting everything that was said before. Like, I just found it funny. You went and did this thing at a summit and you were calling out the administration, but I'm like, but you couldn't even call Ben Shapiro out on your own show. Like, what are you talking about? So I can't take you seriously. I will not be voting for Gavin Newsom. So you may look presidential because you got that Fritz from Scandal look going for you, but as a real politician, no, I can't. I will not. Y'all better find somebody else. I remember one Republican said we need to do a shut off interest during night hours. Huh? What's that? You said they're not going to do that. First off, too many people rely on the internet. Were you talking about a shut off internet during night hours? Like, this is not the days of at midnight the TV would just be showing snow. Like, those days is over. So I can't see that happening. Stagger's an idiot. They said we need to refund the ICE thing and put it out of the big beautiful bill because even if we stop funding, they're still being funded. Well, no, we need to get rid of it altogether. ICE is not working. ICE is a joke. It is a mess. It is a mistake. It should have been gotten rid of years ago before it got to this point, but it wasn't. But anyway, let's move on to lighter-ish news, since it's going to be more mess. And let's talk about America's Next Top Model. So 2 days ago, the trailer for America's Next Top Model officially dropped. I have to say, when I watched the teaser, I like what I saw. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. It's 3 parts. I'm looking forward to it when it comes out. And you saw some of the people that they told. I don't remember, like, because it went by so quick. I don't know. I remember if well, I'm sure they did speak to a lot of the contestants on the show, but I'm definitely curious to hear what Miss J and Mr. J got to say, because I live for Mr. and Mrs. J. So I'm looking forward to when that comes up, and most definitely Tyra, because Tyra was the person that created the show alongside Ken Mock and a bunch of others, and hearing how she looks back on the show, talks about what happened at that time, and then takes accountability for some of the cringe moments. Because you already know, like, when it comes to America's Next Top Model, people have been, a lot of the younger generation, the Gen Zers, have been going in and I guess watching clips and stuff online. I don't know if they've actually specifically sat down and watched the episodes, like doing a whole rewatch and then having a YouTube channel and breaking on down whatever. But I've been noticing that I've been seeing a couple of clips online, and the kids have kind of just been picking the show apart and looking at a show that came out in the 2000s with a 2020 lens, which I have said many a times on this show that you cannot look back on a show that was before your time, that you couldn't understand the time of when that show came out, and put like your own generational lens on something. Because I remember I saw a video and people was going in on this boy, not so bad though, but they were going in on him because he had watched Cruising, which is actually one of my favorite movies, by the way. I know it's controversial to say, but I do love that movie. Where, if people aren't aware, it's a film that Al Pacino starred in, where he was a cop that went undercover at gay leather bars because there was a serial killer that was going around taking the lives of gay men. And the back around the time when that movie came out, there was so much controversy around it. It was before my time, but I remember a lot of my older homosexual friends would tell me the stories about when they were kids at that time, how frightening it was to be in New York and dealing with the fact that, how the AIDS Holocaust and so many other things that was going on around that time in the early 80s. And so the movie, yes, it was controversial, but he was kind of looking at it from this Gen Z lens. And then he went on and did another video, was like, okay, after reading people's comments and understand and listening and stuff, he was like, yeah, I did kind of look at it from that sort of thing. So I think a lot of times is you can watch things and give your opinion. And that's why I would say, I feel like with older people, unless you're coming out being straight up ignorant and nasty or whatever in what you say, I always try to be as lenient and understanding when I'm dealing with younger people, depending on the subject, because it's like they don't know, they don't understand. So, especially in this thing with America's Next Top Model, a lot of the younger generation, they don't know what it was like at the time of when America's Next Top Model came on. Because I loved modeling, I love fashion, I loved all that stuff. So, seeing somebody from that world create a reality show and want to show different body types of this, that, and the other, short girls, which you don't be seeing a lot of short girls making it on no runway in modeling or editorial, whatever the case is. Big girls with Takara, legendary, and so many other girls. Now, with all that being said, Adrianne Curry, who won the first season of America's Next Top Model, took to social media to give her overall thoughts. I have this in two parts because one, she talked I think yesterday, and then there was a recent article that came out from Entertainment Weekly where she was pretty much standing 10 toes down in what she said, because she's basically saying what I've been saying, which is it's absurd to put this different lens of, I call it, you putting a lens from 20 a Gen Z 2020 lens on something that came out 20 years ago. Being that she a person, she's of course going to use the word woke, which you already know pisses me off, because I'm sick and tired of a lot of y'all using that word in the wrong connotation. And even when she goes into her explanation of what else could we use, I'm like, not woke, because you're not using it in the correct connotation. Woke basically means for people who are Black, because this is a thing that I know she want to jump herself up in this, but girl, you're not like this. You ain't this complexion, so you're not gonna get what woke means. Woke basically was an old term that was used, I believe, in the 1920s, back down in the antebellum South, because I think it was also part of like the Green Book and that sort of thing, where it was a signal of Black people being vigilant of what was going on down in the South, particularly with racist white people. That is what woke means. It's just being aware. That's all it means. It's not about that if somebody says something and calls you out or holds you accountable for using a derogatory word, because she even goes in and uses the gay word in a derogatory way, which, bitch, I'm about to windmill on you in a second. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna give you your tens for coming at it the same way I'm coming at it, which is the pushing back on this idea that, yeah, you can't look at the show from how it is now in the world, because this was the show back then and that's what it was. So you got to accept the things, even though we be cringing looking back on it. I'm like, damn, how did we get away with this shit on this show back in the 2000s? Because in 2026, you would not be able to get away with some of the stuff that you saw on America's Next Top Model back in the 2000s in 2026. So I know I had to say all of that, but let's get into the story. So yeah, so she went and said this. Now, this in a series of posts shared on social media on Monday, January 26th, Curry explained that while she's deeply grateful to have won the ANTM's first cycle in 2003, She objects to revisiting the show through today's cultural standards. He said, I think people psychoanalyzing it over 20 years later with a woke lens is absurd. This is what she said on Twitter. See, she's 43, but that's still no excuse. Now, Curry, who has left the industry and now lives in Montana with her husband, Matthew, wrote, sidebar, wasn't she married to one of the Brady Bunch actors? Because I remember one day, because they was on the Surreal Life and then they met. I think she's married. This might be her second marriage. But anyway, so she said she declined to take part in the Netflix project out of concern over how her comments might be edited or presented, saying, I don't trust people to not manipulate things I say for TV, so I decline everything. Also, the public is cult-like and cruel, so the last thing I want is a bunch of eyeballs on me. Yeah, you go to social media to give your opinion on something you say you don't want to be a part of, but since you lived it, you want to be able to tell your side of the story without someone coming in and possibly counter arguing your message or statement, whatever. The math ain't math, and sis, but okay, we'll entertain it. So she added via Instagram that I have zero trust in any producers, no desire to be really public in this day and age, and I'm hard retired from Hollywood. But I will say this, that I do, like, you have a right to just tell your side of the story and say what you need to say because you was a part of that world. You were the first ever winner of America's Next Top Model. So we definitely want to hear your side of the story and your experience and that sort of thing. I'm not holding that against you, but you can't sit up there and say, I don't want to deal with Hollywood and I don't want to deal with the press and I don't want any attention. But you went and spoke twice about this thing. And when the show comes out, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again because the media is going to be hitting you up, or you'll probably hitting up social media to get your opinion on or to give your opinion. So I want to see if there was any more with that. But so now Curry also said this on Twitter on how her former because she's saying that she has overall concern about how her former contestants will be portrayed. She said, I hope the other girls do not have their words twisted in their Netflix show. Adding in another post, I worry about the girls from my season who agreed to do it. Well, here's the thing. Sis, the industry is cutthroat. The industry is not about lollipops and rainbows. Like, we got it from American Idol with Simon Cowell. I'm like, look, if you can't get past a Simon Cowell when it comes to singing and critiquing and the harshness of the industry, you're not gonna make it. Same thing with fashion. Fashion industry is even worse, where there's a expectation on you got to be of a certain weight, you got to have a certain look. They like to pick apart your looks. It's just a lot of ripping people, like tearing people down, and I guess building them into whatever they want to build them into. So there's that. So, but at the end of the day, look, they agreed to the show. You can't really critique what is in this show until we all see it. And then I'll give my opinion when I see the three-parter, and I feel like those who participated in it, if they feel like they were not represented to the best of their ability, they'll let us know on social media. We'll hear it from them when the day comes. But in the meantime, you can't up here and act like you a soothsayer, like you're gonna predict what is gonna be said or whatever the case is. Now, I want to also get to this Entertainment Weekly article because they have some good juicy stuff up in here, which even expands on this. So now she's gone on to compare America's Next Top Model to the modeling Holocaust. That's what she said. Went on social media, went on a whole tirade. Now, amid news of Entertainment Weekly's exclusive debut of a new Netflix docuseries that's set to examine the show's problematic history, Curry criticized earlier this week that she called the woke lens of fan analysis, for ANTM in the modern era. In response to media coverage reporting on her comments, because they had a problem with her saying that damn woke, the 43-year-old My Fair Brady, so she was on it, but she was married to the Brady dude, and she had a reality show called My Fair Brady. I forgot about that. Hosted a lengthy live video Wednesday on Twitter where she covered topics ranging from her time on ANTM to pushing back against those lamenting the shooting death of Alex Preddy in Minnesota. Now, during the live video, Curry, who now successfully She sells Avon, even though Avon was still around. Child, that's like Amway. Baby Amway. My parents used to sell that when I was a kid. Now, they said during the live video, Curry, now a successful Avon sales rep, drifted in and out of both defending and criticizing Top Model, and at one point said of the show's production, I feel like I went through the modeling holocaust due to the changes her body went through while filming the show's inaugural 2003 season for UPN. So, are you using holocaust in the sense that, yeah, there were a lot of Jews that were starved? Like, oh, is that appropriate to be saying? Now, she said, I lost so much weight, adding that her grandmother commented that she looked like a skeleton when she returned home from making the show because she lost um, I guess they said lost an ass load of weight because we never ate on set. Curry also took aim at those who criticize her for using the word woke to describe the lens through which younger audiences view and critique Top Model's approach to what may have alleged was exploitative reality TV practices in the early aughts, including photo challenges that tasked models with darkening their skin to portray different races, as well as body shaming comments from the show's panel of judges. So she went on to say, what would you call the lens people look at everything today? Curry asked during the live, referencing her earlier commentary on Netflix reality check Inside America's Next Top Model, which she says she declined participation in because she still doesn't trust reality TV producers. Is it effing annoying a-hole lens? Well, you're being a fucking annoying asshole by trying to be very condescending in what you're saying. She also wanted to say, is it pearl clutching, anal retentive? I have nothing better to do with my life lens. Someone educate me on what we call the struggle sessions that people try to put others through today, 20 plus years later, after they've done something. And that's another thing. This is what I find annoying is that someone educate me, but you're saying it in a way that's condescending. You're not interested in learning. You're interested in being combative and being defensive. So, as I've said before, as someone who is Black, let me educate you on, once again, what woke means. Woke basically is a word that is from Black people that, of course, has been hijacked, white folks, and turned into something completely different and weaponized because I guess it's simple and to the point that being vigilant and aware of what was going on down south in regards to what was going on with racism or racists. That's what woke basically means, just being aware. Now, if I'm going to be wide awake and realizing that, yeah, certain things that people are doing out here is wrong, you want to hold accountability for people, then yes, we should be holding people accountable. And I feel like with this documentary coming up, or docu-series, since it's 3 parts, and people are going to get around and talk about it, we can hold the accountability then. Once everybody comes in and takes accountability for their part in what happened with the show. And once that happens, I hope we can put this all behind us. Because if one more person come out and start with this, looking at an old show from 20 some odd years ago and talking about how problematic it was, y'all gonna get cussed the fuck out. Because it's like, it's already been established. There's a 3 part docu-series that has been created so we can put all this to bed. Now, if you're gonna be late to the party and be obtuse and choose not to see it, but still criticize it, then you deserve to get windmilled on verbally. I don't condone violence, but I said let people just cuss them out. So you being condescending with this shit, what else do you call it? Is it like an annoying asshole? No, you're being a fucking annoying asshole. That's what you're doing, ma'am. So continue to sell your Avon and continue to save your Avon. I don't have nothing else to add, Tom. So yeah, she also went on to say this whole I'm so self-righteous. I want to cancel someone from 2003. What the fuck is your problem? What do you call that if not woke? Well, I already told her what it was, so I'm not even going to go into that again. She said, we changed the meaning of everything. Gay to me meant lame in the 90s, later adding, nobody meant homosexual, not effing one of us at the time. Well, I don't know what you meant, sis, but gay, lame, homophobia, you can't see all of that being a problem? Like, you can't, like, it's really that, well, don't answer, because quiet as it's kept, there do be a lot of models that just be pretty. Just be pretty. And I guess well, I would say we could say that about Adrianne, but she look like that now. So I don't know if we can still say Just be pretty. Just be quiet. Maybe we'll say that. So, oh yeah, I put this in here because this was funny. So it says like if you can't read it, um when it was talking about the darkening of the skin, and then you see like he came up with the whole thing of like swapping races, and you have Jay Manuel's reaction to that clip. So that's basically what that is. So um yeah, she's working my root canal nerve right now. So that this is kind of pissing me off. So so just I guess I can't say things are gay, meaning lame and not gay anymore. Yes, you can't, because when you say gay, that is kind of what it meant. Even back then, when people would call, oh, that's so gay or whatever. Yeah, it's being used in a negative word. And as somebody who is a homosexual, I could fucking say that. But of course, you being a straight white woman, anything that is deemed derogatory towards others because it doesn't affect you, of course she's gonna get all mad and start saying all this other stuff. It's like, just girl, just be pretty. I mean, sorry, we already established that. Just be quiet, because now you're coming across sounding dumb as hell. And yes, you got to realize that as a species, we evolve. The things that we used to say 20 years ago, you can't get away with that stuff. Just like when back in the day, I could use the same excuse about tranny. There was, when I was amongst my trans girlfriends or whatever the case was, they was throwing that word around and everything. Now you can't say that word anymore. It's been taken and used in such a negative way now that it's like, yes, you can't use that word anymore. But back then, 20 some odd years ago, you could say tranny chaser. RuPaul wrote a whole song about it. Now you can't say stuff about that no more. So yes, we as a species, you would expect the older you get, the more you would evolve. But clearly, this Karen wants to run around and just be. I just want to be able to say whatever the hell I want without somebody calling me out and me having to take accountability for the things that I'm saying. So now, echoing a sentiment that Banks herself expressed reality check trailer in the reality check trailer regarding audience interest in watching tense on-camera material, she also elaborated on her complex thoughts on the show. She said, "Here's the other thing: everyone wants to get mad at Tyra. Where the f were your parents? If you were 8 years old watching a fucking show full of grown women being a-holes to each other, Tyra Banks wasn't your mommy. Where were your parents? They just saw you in front of the TV and didn't give a shit what you were watching. And now you want to get mad at the producers? What the fuck were your parents? I mean, that's their responsibility." Now, Curry then said it makes sense if the girls are still peeved about their alleged treatment on the program, but urged them to let it go over what she labeled a statute of limitations on complaining now that we know what reality TV is. And I think what people need to realize is that reality TV back then, when it came to America's Next Top Model and so many other shows, that was a relatively new thing. So when you're out the gate with a new show, first season, it's like even RuPaul's, look, sidebar, I can't wait till the day comes when we get a RuPaul's Drag Race docu-series, kind of like how we get in Top Model, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that they're going to be wanting to talk about on that show. That's going to be a gag within itself. I don't know if RuPaul will come out and talk, but I would love to see them do that with that show. And um, with America's Up, nobody knew what that show was. So you was always it was all about just trying to come up with really interesting ideas, putting twists on things based off your experience as a fashion model and doing all these things, coming up with this real cool stuff and feeding the beast and keeping it going. And sometimes, yeah, you overstep. I'm not excusing it, but yeah, sometimes as human beings, people overstep and we have a right to look at it, call it out, and it is what it is. So hopefully we'll do that when we cross that bridge and we watch the show. And it's like, but once you get into the groove of things, once you get to like season 3 or season 4, whatever, because remember, at one point with RuPaul's Drag Race, I didn't have a problem with She-Male. She-Male, I thought was great. It was a great twist. It was a play on words, like Tyra Male. That's what they came up with with. It was a play on Tyra Male, so they called it She-Male. But of course, it's transgender, that sort of thing, or a man that dresses as a woman, whatever you want to call it. And so nobody had a problem with that until they did that little segment that they ended up cutting call, where they had to figure out he male or she male, because they was you had to figure out, is it a man or is it a trans woman? That was a bit controversial. They had to cut that from the show. But I was like, damn, of course I had to take it that far with the show. Like, come on. And then, of course, when you have people who we turn out years later were transgender, like Carmen Carrera, had a problem with it and then ignited this thing of they had to do better. So when you do things that are offensive, you have to learn, like, respect people where they're at and try to grow from it. So that's what I'll get on her about with that. But I am with her with this whole stop trying to take something from 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago and holding people were like, well, we need to cancel. You need to be out of a job. You need your whole life ruined because you were part of this thing or you said something offensive or you did this thing that I don't agree with. It's like, if you haven't evolved from it, then there needs to be looks at your future, whatever. But if you're trying to put in the work to be a better person, I just don't see why you should be holding, going in on somebody. But anyway, so I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and what Adrianne had to say? Have you checked out the episode? I mean, the trailer for America's Next Top Model? What are your overall thoughts? Do you agree with what she had to say in regards of the whole situation? And yes, I'm about sick of y'all. And if y'all not going to use woke in the right way, then don't use the word at all. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Hold on. What? I was like, why is it not coming up? You said sidebar. After your show on Monday, I listened to so much Troy Sivan because of the Troy topic and rediscovered this one song that I can't stop listening to. Can't believe it's been 10. Oh, I know. Like that debut album has been 10 years. The times do be flying. Brandon says Christopher Knight, who played Peter, is whom she dated, married, and I can't remember. I think they did marry at one point, but the marriage didn't last. Um, he said yes. Adrian was married to Chris from 2006 to 20. Yep, that's when they was married. I remember that because I used to watch that show. I used to watch Surreal Life too. Then when they brought it back, I didn't even like take interest in wanting to watch it because I feel like, you know what, when I watch shows, once it's done, I'm like, okay, I've moved on, I've evolved to other. It's kind of like with Jersey Shore. Once Jersey Shore was done, I moved on, and then they decided to revive it with Jersey Shore Family Vacation. I may have watched like 2 episodes of that, and I was just like, I just don't care. I've outgrown this whole situation. I did tell y'all that once upon a time I auditioned to be on a gay version of Jersey Shore. That was back around the time when Rihanna released the Loud album. Woke is also tied to knowledge. Knowledge is truthful. Absolutely. So I'd rather be awake than asleep. It's kind of like the same thing I say about red pill. I hate the fact that red pill has been taken as a negative connotation when it was never used as a negative. If you watch The Matrix, I mean, Neo took the red pill, freed him from the shackles of oppression. He became the one. Why she look? That's what I said. I was like, ooh, that's some hard living. And this is exactly my point. How hard is it to say you was wrong and carry on? It's like people are literally allergic to the word, like taking accountability for the things that they say and they do. And it's like, that's all you had to do. Just sit and say, you know what? I was wrong and move on. But no, why do that? They want to be combative, they want to fight, they want to argument. It's like, girl, you will continue to get cursed out. Keep it up. But somebody who talk about they don't want to be in the spotlight. You find every moment whenever it comes a top model to be in the spotlight. All right, y'all. So now let's move on and let's talk about Taylor Swift and this drama going on with her and Blake Lively. So it looks like, the word on the street is she already changed her number. So she's apparently fuming over the fact that her private texts with uh Blake Lively. Oh, sorry. So the Regina George of pop music is apparently upset because her text with Ku Klux Khaleesi has gotten out, with the case and in the press and all this other stuff. And got some thoughts, but first of all, before I get my thoughts, let's get through the story. So Taylor is fuming They said it's honestly been really hard on her, a source told Us Weekly. Having her text out there made her feel exposed and kind of violated, like something private suddenly wasn't hers anymore. That doesn't sit well with her. Well, it's hard for me to have sympathy and empathy for a woman who's made an entire career of taking private things that she's had with people that she's been in a relationship with and writing whole songs about it and making millions of dollars off of it. It's hard for me to kind of feel sorry for you because that's kind of been your whole career MO. Like you basically have written about people you've been in relationship with, breakups, friendships, that stuff you've been doing. Like I call her the Regina George with a burn book. So last week, ahead of a summary judgment hearing, a judge unsealed several texts between Swift and Lively, which revealed the pop star's true feelings about Baldoni, as well as a friendship shift between her and the Gossip Girl alum. In one of the court docs obtained by Page Six, Swift texts Lively ahead of the bombshell New York Times article that claimed Baldoni, Lively's director and co-star of It Ends With Us, waged a smear campaign against the Green Lantern star, saying, I think this bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin. Well, look, I'm playing my little tiny violin for Swift. Um, that's what Swift texts Lively, according to the docs. Another doc revealed the tense exchange between the former besties, where they accused their changing friendship dynamic. Well, sorry, they discussed their changing friendship dynamic. But before I get to that, when I was sitting there saying, like, why would all of a sudden Taylor Swift come out and say this against to Blake Lively about Justin Baldoni? She has no skin in the game in regards to this movie. The fact of the matter is, Blake Lively is the one who has been trying to come in and take over this film or whatever the case was. Here and here's another thing too, because I saw like that last video that I did. I appreciate the fact that it's blowing up and a lot of people in the comments and stuff. But I had a lot of people in the comments. This is not just about Noni's first movie. Right? He's directed Jane the Virgin. Okay. We're not talking about all of that. I'm talking about this is his first big major on-screen situation based on a popular book from Colleen Hoover, who's about, I was so uncomfortable, probably because you want to be in good graces with Blake and Ryan because they're A-listers, they're A-list royalty, whether you want to believe or like it or not, they are a part of the A-list elite. They're a part of that class. So she wants to play nicey, even though maybe there were some things with Just About Donny that was inappropriate. The two things can be true at the same time. But she's trying to play nice because she wants to continue to make that Hollywood money. And let me tell you something, that Hollywood money, that's some good money, especially if they can adapt your book for the big screen. That's a good check. Why would I want to deny or mess that up or rock the boat? So I'm gonna go along to get along. And I totally understand, like, if when you're friends with someone and somebody goes and says something about your friend, usually when it comes to me and things like that, I'm a listening ear. Like if my friends want to sit and trust and believe, a lot of them do, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have friends like that too. As soon as they get on the phone, they want to sit and rant to you about the shenanigans and the drama and everything that was going on in their life, be it whether it's work or relationships, whatever the case is. So I'm sure that Taylor was on that line being a listening friend or whatever. It was probably going off of what Blake was telling her. So I'm assuming that that could have been what was going on with that. It's like she was just going on based on what Blake was telling her. And yeah, as a friend, I'm not gonna question you and be like, well, I need to see receipts on that. I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to come out at that because then people look at you as like, well, you're not a real friend? Like, are you here for me or you sitting there automatically going to take their side? So yeah, we do have our biases when it comes to those things where we're not going to automatically just shun our friend because of a certain situation. So I'm gonna go and listen. But you also need to realize that, sis, once you put things in a text, it's there forever. So that's why if it's gonna be stuff like this, y'all got to take it old school and go on that phone and have the conversation. Unless you got one of the most shady friends that try to be slick and just be secretly recording y'all conversations and just be having it just in case. So they said another doc revealed a tension. Okay, so the tension change, we got into that. So the personal conversation began with by Lively checking in to ask Swift if everything was okay, since she had been feeling like a bad friend to the singer lately. Lively went on to tell Grammy winner that she was a key person during her public feud with Baldoni, but that she had a feeling something may not be right. After about an hour, Swift replied, "No, you're not wrong, but it's also not a big deal." She also admitted to feeling a little bit of a shift in the way Lively talks to her in recent months. By recognizing how all consuming Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni might be, Swift told her that several of her last messages felt like she was reading a mass corporate email sent to 200 employees. Now, Swift claimed that Lively wasn't acting like her usual self and said she missed her funny, dark, normal speaking friend who talks to me as herself, not like a plural unit. And she was like, "Yeah, I just want a friend. I don't want somebody who's up in here just all business and all this other stuff. Like, where's that girl?" Maybe it was just stress because she was busy up in there trying to take over Justin's movie. This was under Justin's production company. This is his project. He owned the rights to the book. So you coming on board, you're the star in the film. I'm not sure if on the top end, maybe she does. Maybe she has a producer credit, whatever. But even if you have a producer credit and you come in and produce it, you need to stick to what you do. That's your thing. And you coming in with the condescending thing, calling him an idiot, like he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's like, sis, when have you gotten behind the camera and directed a film? You can't sit up there and tell somebody that who's had a little experience doing directing TV shows and all these and done short films or whatever the case is that he doesn't know what he's doing when he does. You just want to come in and just do this complete takeover. And then Ryan, being the husband, I was like, hold on, because it's like, why did the heat go off? Anyway, so then you have Ryan that's going to come in. He's going to ride or die for his wife, regardless of what happens. So Um, yeah, so I just say at the end of the day, this was going to dissipate. This is going to take its toll with all this. And I just feel bad because I feel like at the end of the day, regardless of how the pendulum swings on this case, just about Donnie's going to be the sacrificial lamb in this because he doesn't have really pretty much a big stake in this whole thing. He's not a big A-list superstar. So he can't ride this wave on out and still have a career. They'll still find a way to just not work with him or ruin his career, whatever. But then I've heard stories that he says he's not even interested. He's over Hollywood. He hates all the fakery and the BS that's going on with that anyway. So he's ready to move on. And I just hope, like, you know what, don't let these people deter you from your passion or whatever it is that you love doing in regards to the films. If this is something that you feel passionate about, do it. But just maybe stick with smaller independent films with a bunch of people who aren't famous. I don't know. Figure out something. Just don't work with people like Blake Lively because she's a problem, clearly. So let's see if there's any more. I think that's probably all that we could, add with the article. So it'll be interesting to see how all this turns out in regards to the whole, this countersuit, live Blake with her sexual harassment complaint. And I'm sure there's probably some things, and I think there's some stuff on both sides that he was doing things to her, she was doing things to him, and we'll just have to see how all this turns out once we get, the light hits the end of that tunnel. So in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? I mean, I'm not surprised that Taylor Swift would feel betrayed. It was like, yeah, that's personal things. But we're not going to sit up here, ma'am, and act like, because yes, you're a pop star. You're one of the most successful people in music right now. We're not going to act like you ain't got a mean streak either, that you be doing some petty ass shit. And you have done some petty shit to a lot of people in this industry and stepped on a lot of people to get where you are today. Especially, we're going to continue to bring up like, okay, so when other artists come out and drop music that you, for some godforsaken reason, want to release a single or in the 80th variant of your album at the same time as other artists because you always want to step over them and be the number one artist when you had your moment like 4 months ago. And then when people, like, for instance, Harry Styles, he had his new single, Aperture, which, sidebar, Madonna is loving right now. Because she put in her stories, but on her page, I think. Um, and how you wanted to put your Opalite song out around the same time. It's like, ma'am, what are you doing? Like, it almost comes across as you're annoying. So when the little stunts that you be pulling and all this stuff, that always makes me eye roll because you always want to be number one and you always want to steamroll over other people because clearly you don't have enough money in your account. And I love the fact that you were able to, and this is another thing that I feel like I'm surprised that I would think you would have more empathy for Justin than you would Blake. Because you're a person who's in the music business who fought to get the rights to your songs and things, to own your music. And I do believe that artists deserve to own what they create. Yes, the record labels are the buffer and they help you give the money, whatever the case is. And the record labels need the artist just as much as the artist need the record label. But now at this point, it don't seem like they really do. Because if you really understand the business, you can pretty much do everything on your own. You don't really need the record label. You just need maybe I don't know. You don't really need the record labels as much, trust and believe. So, um, and then you dealing with all of that stuff, I would think you would be understandable because here's a project that Justin Baldoni was passionate about that you had your friend, your ex BFF, was trying to take away from him. So I would think you would be more empathetic because y'all kind of y'all dealt with the same thing. You on the music side and him on the cinematic side. But I guess when you blinded by someone like Ku Klux Khalisi, as long as you get your own shit, then I guess that's all that matters. Because people be walking around with their rose-colored glasses, their little blinders on, and only care about what they want versus having empathy for others. So I just had to throw that in there because I almost forgot to bring that up before I was going to exit out of this topic. So I definitely want to hear from y'all regarding this case and everything that's going on with that. And if you agree with some of the, all the points or none of the points, whatever, just drop your overall thoughts in the comments down below. All right. As Chris talked about, no, I have not. We almost there. We got about wait, one more topic. We got to get through the Zac Efron story. Once we get to that, we get to Christian Keys. So no, I haven't gotten to that story yet. I should pull up that YouTube video to see if. Speaking of which, let me do that now. Oh wait, I got two more because I got to do that and I got to do the other video. Hold on, why is it opening? Let me see. Oh, not the. Skip. Oh wait, no, we're not gonna play it because it's like 13 and a half minutes. It's not even at the clip. So we'll just have to forego it because I thought it would have been in the same spot. But first of all, what is that pressing curl that Christian Key's walking around with? Anyway, so no, we didn't get to that story yet, but let me get through the comments. Scream fans are okay with Mark dying because for 30 years she was Sidney Prescott, and now it's changed to Sydney Evans. We'll see if she goes back to Prescott. But many songwriters, authors, poets, essayists, and artists make entire careers out of private relationship business, turned into song art, and made millions of dollars out of it, not just Regina Joy. But we specifically focus on Regina Joy because she's the topic of discussion. And you said Colleen was called the pick-me because she was starstruck. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. It definitely gives that. Can't help but wonder what Mama Donna thinks about those texts. That's a good question. Because she on the traders. He said Blake and Jenny was uncomfortable as an atheist that Justin Baldoni always prayed and wanted him to be banned from praying and going to church. But if that's here's the thing. If that is his belief, who are you to judge what his beliefs are? I may not be a staunch believer of religion. In fact, I detest it, especially as someone who grew up and was raised Roman Catholic. I follow a more spiritual path. However, if as you doing something, as long as you're not indoctrinating your beliefs on me, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can sit up there and pray to a damn tree for all I care. As long as you're not trying to force me to pray to that tree right next to you, have at it. Go in and let have. So I don't understand why you sitting there. If you're atheist, okay, that's your prerogative. But I hate when people want to always interject their stuff on you. And I don't know if Justin was interjecting his religious beliefs on them. If he was and it made her feel uncomfortable, then that's something that needs to be brought up in the case. But you up in here getting all upset because that's his belief or whatever the case is. I just don't understand how that's any of your damn business. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show and let's get into this mess. So there's a current case that's going on in New York, a sex trafficking trial which I didn't even know much about, but there's these guys from I'm not surprised. They're wealthy Florida-based real estate developers. They're called the Alexander Brothers. And so what this whole case is going on about is that they're saying that the prosecutors are claiming basically that they're using their ties to famous celebrities to traffic their victims. Hence is where Zac Efron comes in. And when I saw this, I had to look up a particular thing that I'm going to get to called yachting, because this reminded me of something that I remember hearing about months ago with yachting and Zac Efron, which I'm like, okay, all this is making sense. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna bring it all together. Bring it. You know how I do. So, without further ado, excuse me. Let's get into the story, courtesy of the New York Post. So, a woman allegedly R-worded by the brother of real estate titans Tal and Oren Alexander testified Tuesday that she met her attacker at an exclusive NBA Finals watch party hosted by Zac Efron. The accuser told jurors at the start of the brothers' trial in Manhattan federal court that she met security bigwig Alon Alexander, who is charged with sex trafficking alongside his two-star property broker brothers at a June 21st, 2012 party at Efron's loft penthouse in the Meatpacking District. Alon Alexander and his brother Tal, who was also at the party, were friends with the High School Musical star, according to the woman who testified under the alias Katie Moore. Now, fewer than a dozen people were at the party watching the game between the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. She testified she had been invited by a friend, she said. She said, I was a fan of Zach's and I wanted to meet him. It seemed like a fun experience. This is what she told the jurors. But the accuser, then a 20-year-old NYU student, claimed her night became a nightmare after she left the Hoops watch party with a small crew that included Alon and Tal Alexander and went to a nearby club, Provocateur, where she was handed a drink that led to her losing control of her limbs. She testified that she lost consciousness and awoke to find herself sprawled out naked on the bed as Alon Alexander, who was also naked, stood over her. Moore tried to get off the bed, but he repeatedly pushed her down, leading her to say she didn't want to have sex with him, she testified. That prompted him to laugh in her face and say, "You already did." He then held her down and forcibly R-worded her. This is according to what Moore had to say. Now, my nose got louder and more desperate, and that's when I started crying, said the accuser, who also teared up during Tuesday's testimony. The witness had made no indication that Efron, who's 38, was aware of the alleged drugging and R-wording. A PR firm representing the actors did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Now, federal prosecutors claim that Alexanders used their wealth and prestige to lure women that they met on dating apps and at snazzy parties into their perverted orbit between 2008 and 2021. The brothers masqueraded as party boys when they really were predators, prosecutor Madison Smizer told the jury during opening arguments. Now, jurors will also watch sickening footage that Alon's twin Oren Alexander, who was then in his mid-20s, took video of himself and a friend R-wording an incapacitated 17-year-old in 2009. Oh, they going down. Y'all are just disgusting. This according to Smizer. Now, they said you will see him set up a camera or physically lifted her legs and R-worded her, the prosecutor told a packed courtroom where the brothers sat at two defense tables in matching gray suit jackets and white shirts. Well, hold on, because I actually got what they look like. This is the drawing, but that's actually the brothers is there. Now, Oren Alexander bragged about the assault, to friends and got a text from Alon, an executive at a elite private security firm that caters to celebs, saying that he took down a 17-year-old. So this is how y'all talk. The then teenager, who will testify using an alias, has no memory of what happened that night, the prosecutor added. The court will also hear evidence that Tal Alexander, who catered to ritzy clientele with Oren and in 2018 brokered the sale of a $15 million Miami Beach condo to Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, once held a 16-year-old girl down while Oren and two other men R-worded her. This is according to Smizer. The brothers are accused of slipping date rape drugs into some of the women's drinks and of R-wording some of the women by brute force. The defendants carried out their R words in different ways. There's no one size fit all. A defense lawyer for Oren Alexander, Tenny Garagos, Jesus Christ, you defending another damn person. Wasn't you just defending Diddy? And we see how that turned out. Claimed Tuesday that the accuser will lie about being drugged to avoid her own shame about being intoxicated during the encounters. Several of the women are also motivated by money they stand to gain from pending lawsuits against the brothers. You may find the behavior immoral, but it is not criminal, Garagos told the jury. And you are a damn woman. You should be ashamed of yourself. You may not approve of his lifestyle and his text, but you can still find him not guilty of trafficking. But are we gonna find him not guilty of grape? Because that's exactly what this was. If there's actual evidence of him setting up a camera and assaulting a underage girl and also texting his shenanigans, we just gonna act like that's not what it was? Like, how you gonna try to I mean, I get as a lawyer, your job is to try to get your client off. Says this not they going to jail. Like, based on the stuff that's going on, they're going to jail. But I do find it funny, like, how do you drag him Zac Efron is? But I guess the reason why Zac Efron was dragged into it is because how the night started. You went to a party that he was hosting that you were invited to by a friend, and he happened to be there, whatever the case was. So that's how it started, but it didn't end with Zac participating. Now, speaking of participation, there is there's a story that this reminded me of, because there was things going around that someone like Zac Efron, they even said Michelle Rodriguez, a bunch of other celebrities, they're into yachting, which is basically this thing that goes on in Hollywood that I don't think a lot of people know about. It's literally you have people who get paid to party, and it's like one of Hollywood's murkiest secrets. So I think fornication and things going around, and there was a story, I think Sloan did a couple of videos on it, where Zac Efron used to go on a lot of yachts with a lot of men, and that's where a lot of those rumors will start. If you know what I'm saying, I think you do. A lot of those rumors were starting with him canoodling with men on the boat. So the article goes and says, from PR smear campaigns to fabricated celebrity relationships, Hollywood is often considered full of murky practices, but it's yachting that is considered one of the entertainment industry's biggest open secrets, with A-list stars, including models, actors, and royalty, being rumored to have been involved in yachting during their careers. If you're unfamiliar with the term, yachting is, this is what I wanted to get to. If you're unfamiliar with the term, yachting is most commonly used to describe the practice of being paid to spend time and be pictured with wealthy clients, often aboard mega yachts. It is considered a popular form for it girls and rising stars to raise their profile, but it also has a murky underbelly of sexual exploitation, coercion, and trafficking. So, according to the podcast, I Know I Sound Crazy, hosted by Ashlyn Galloway, aspiring actors and models, as well as those already in the industry who want to raise their profiles, often enter into yachting with a goal of making connections. While yachting, they gain access to exclusive surroundings and social notoriety through the wealthy or famous men they accompany. However, the practice is not as luxurious as it may sound. As Galloway explains, women are often recruited by their co-stars or other yacht girls and take the work believing it to be modeling or an acting job. This was also, if you notice, yachting was in Showgirls. Like, if you've seen that movie, you already know what I'm mentioning when it comes to the whole, and Nomi was like, nope, I ain't doing that. As Galloway explains, women often recruited by their co-stars, they said, but in reality, what appears to be getting paid to party and be pictured with wealthy businessmen actually blurs the line between perfectly legal and mutually beneficial relationships and speculated sexual solicitation. The term yachting first gained traction in 2013 when the Hollywood Reporter published an investigation into the culture at the Cannes Film Festival, claiming models and even some Hollywood actors swarmed the hotels and yacht parties during the festival. Women installed in yachts in Cannes during the film festival are called yacht girls, and the line between professional prostitutes and B or C list Hollywood actresses and models who accept payment for sex with richer older men is sometimes very blurred. A veteran of the film industry told journalist Dana Kennedy at the time. Quoting Ellie Nahas, who ran a Beirut-based modeling agency before being arrested on charges of running a prostitution ring in 2007. The article continues, you definitely recognize more than a few names from Hollywood. These are actresses who made bad career choices and fell off the radar. They tell themselves that they've been doing that what they're doing at Con is okay, that they're just on dates with rich men, when the reality is they're doing what prostitutes do, but they like the money. Nahas was later convicted of supplying more than 50 women of various nationalities to rich Middle Eastern clients during the festival. There's your idea, because I don't want to go through the whole article, whatever, but I just want to give you an idea of what yachting is and why I was like, Zac Efron being connected and all of that, like him allegedly being a yacht boy, plus you're friends with these guys who have been, maybe I don't know if he knows, whatever the case. Look, he's not being included in, so I'm not going to include him in it. But I'm just saying, like, him being accused of being a yacht boy, that maybe he's going on boats and hanging out with rich older men and sex maybe and getting involved, and they're paying his coins. Because quiet as kept, as good of an actor that Zac Efron is, when the last time y'all seen him in something? He ain't really out here acting like he used to. I mean, to be honest, Dylan is on our TV screens more than Zac is. So in order to keep them bills paid and the momentum going and all this other stuff, and he wants to still maintain that party boy lifestyle, be a yacht boy. He's still young enough and handsome. I mean, I know y'all criticize the surgeries and all that stuff, but Zac he can still get it. I wouldn't kick him out of bed. So to finish up on this story, and then we can move on, because I just wanted to give you a little idea of, like, that's what my brain immediately went when I was hearing about Zac and this whole sex trafficking situation. They said the three Alexander brothers were arrested in December 2024 after a slew of civil suits accused Oren and Alon of sickening attacks, including a claim that the twins took turns R-wording a woman inside a Hamptons castle dubbed the Playboy Mansion of the East Coast. Prosecutors have said they've spoken to more than 60 who say at least one of the brothers R-worded them. So they've done this over 60 women. Y'all a serial R-worder. Well, grapist. We'll just use that word because I'm tired of saying R-word. We'll just say grape. So Oren and Tal Alexander co-founded the luxury real estate firm Official, which offers ritzy listings in places like New York City, the Hamptons, Miami, and Los Angeles in 2022. After raising the ranks at brokerage giant Douglas Elliman, the pair made headlines in 2019 for brokering the sale of a record-smashing $240 million penthouse overlooking Central Park to hedge fund billionaire Ken Griffin. I don't know why. For a second, I read that and I thought it was going to say Kathy Griffin. Now, it said Alon Alexander has been a top honcho at their family's powerful private security firm, Kent Security, at the time of his arrest. Each brother faces 15 years to life in prison if convicted of various sex crime charges, including sex trafficking by fraud, force, or coercion. They are being held without bail at the notorious Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center, which, of course, currently houses the president of Venezuela and Luigi Mangione. So they got a lot of people up in that place. That place is popping. They can do a reality show in that prison with all them personalities up in there. But I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? This was a crazy story, but I feel like I finagled it the way I need to finagle it for y'all to kind of get what was, brought up in that whole thing. And what do y'all think of the whole yachting thing? That gagged me when I first heard about it, but also had me relatively fascinated by what may be going on those infamous yachts. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. When I tell you that complete. Mhm. Okay, so now we just making shit up as we go along. Okay. And then this other clown shit with Diddy was not the, y'all just be wanting to come on here and troll. Well, guess what? You can go down to the block party where you belong. Go back to the block party where you belong. In the words of Fifi O'Hara. All right, y'all, so let's get back into the show. Hold on. Okay, so let's talk about Chris Noth. So a couple of episodes ago we talked about Chris Noth, and there was a thing that somebody asked him about, I guess Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't remember the whole thing off the top of my head, but he did throw a little shade in the comments, which made people think that there was a type of a beef or rift between him and SJP. And that's what I kind of felt taken from it. And he tried to, oh, there's nothing to see here, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. Like it's no y'all making a mountain out of a molehill. But I'm like, you're the one who initiated this. You open up Pandora's box. So by you responding, of course, a lot of people are going to come out with their own stories, their own articles, and their own, you know, citations and their own stuff on it. So you should be surprised by that. Like when it comes to gossip and rips and beefs, we all come at it like catnip. That's our job as commentators. So um now he went and recently did an interview where he talked about he went on an episode of Really Famous with Meyer Robinson, and that episode dropped on January 26th, where he opened about what caused the rift between he and Big and Carrie out here fighting. So what caused the rift between them two? So let's get into the tea. So in People's exclusive clip from the upcoming episode, well, they said upcoming, but it passed already. The actor who's 71 opened up about his falling out with the former SATC co-star amid rumors of a feud. It's funny, he's 11 years older than her. She's 60, he's 71, but quite as it could be, look about the same age. Now, he said, "We're not friends. I think that's pretty obvious." This is what he said, attributing Parker's response to the multiple allegations of SA against him as the reason they no longer speak. In 2021, The Hollywood Reporter published R-word allegations from two women, with one claiming she met Noth when he was 22. She was 22, sorry, in 2004, and the other in 2015 when she was just 25. A third woman then came forward and told the Daily Beast that Noth had SA'd her in 2010 when she was 18. Now, at the time, Noth denied all accounts, stating that he has and would never cross that line, and further calling the stories a complete fabrication that read like a piece of bad fiction. So shortly after, Parker and her SATC castmates, Cynthia Nixon and Kristen Davis, released a statement saying, "We are deeply saddened to hear the allegations against Chris Noth. We support the women who have come forward and share their painful experiences. We know it must be a very difficult thing to do, and we commend them for it." So then the statement that they put out, this is what he says, which was nothing more than brand management. Really? I don't know. It was sad. It was disappointing. It was surprising, because you need to call me and hear my side of this. You've known me for many years and we worked together for many years. I get it. That's more Hollywood than Hollywood. He continues of them publicly addressing the allegations. But before you make that statement, you know me. You know me all these years. Give me a call so I can give you the real scoop about this. And that didn't happen. And that was too bad. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to windmill too hard on SJP in this situation, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, as my friend, I would expect that if we worked together for many years, that yes, you would do me the solid of wanting to call me and be like, "So you in the news, there's all these things going on around you. What's going on?" Because you expected me to be loyal to you. And I think that was another thing that we mentioned on the show. He was loyal to her when all that stuff was going on with Sex and the City, I guess, with Kim Cattrall and all that other stuff. And all the drama that was going on behind the scenes. He acted as a loyal soldier. And now that this stuff comes out, then it's like, you don't have my back. You're more concerned with the Sex and the City brand. And even when as far as like when the series premiere of And Just Like That launched, you killed me off on a Peloton of all things. So um I can totally understand where he's coming from. But then on the other hand, you have to look at it from their perspective. She's a woman. Kristen and Cynthia women. They're on a show that is more or less about women's issues, drama, that sort of thing. So it is a female leaning show. They're going to come to the protection of women before anything else, and they have to protect the brand because while Sarah Jessica Parker is a doting actress and has been in many things, Carrie Bradshaw is what made her the big star that she is at this point. She can go off and do other things, but she'll always be known as Carrie Bradshaw. That was like someone who was a significant part of her career. So I totally understand like why she would immediately go to, because I'm thinking like, well, it goes also to show you this is this is not show friends, it's show business. She didn't consider you a friend. Maybe you put too much into the friendship and you expected the same and she didn't. So there could be that too. I don't know. I'm not in her brain. I'm just going analyzing off of what is being seen here. So, and you also have to think about this. When all this was coming out, this was at the height of Me Too, Time's Up, all that stuff. So when you're at the height of that, Hollywood is always about following a trend or whatever. Even though we shouldn't be calling Black Lives Matter or Me Too, Time's Up, any of that stuff a trend. But Hollywood is always about just going where the wind blows. They're not going to go against the grain. There's a fear with that. So she's going to immediately jump in and let's believe women because that's what we're taught to believe. Right? We should all, if a woman comes and says that they were SA'd or graped, whatever the case is, that we got to believe women before all else. And she's a woman, so she's going to go with her tribe. So he said, "What's gained is good. You know where people stand, and you know who your real friends are, and who they're not. That's important to know. I just know if it had been on the other hand, I wouldn't have done that. That was hurtful, and it really affected everything." Now, earlier this month, speculation about drama between the former on-screen lovers sparked that when Noth shared a photo of himself in the gym on Instagram with the caption, "Fuck New Year's, let's go." Just 3 days prior, Parker was honored at the Golden Globes Karen Burnett Award, or with the Golden Globes Karen Burnett Award during the CBS and Paramount primetime special Golden Eve. In the comments of Noth's post, one fan wrote, "You mean fuck SJP and her award, right? LOL." The Law and Order alum appeared to agree with the sentiment by replying, "Right." In addition to the SATC star speaking out about his SA allegations in 2021, Noth was also cut for the series Rivalry. Yeah, we already know because he said that they killed him off at the premiere. He was originally slated to make the return in the season 1 finale, but the scenes never aired. And I think those are the ones that they had shot at what was it? Not Washington Square Park, Madison Park. Because I told you I used to work at that Shake Shack over there. We had to serve, and during the first season, we basically fed the whole cast, including SJP. So I believe that they shot scenes and stuff in that park, and then funny they worked with each other anyway. So it's like you were willing to let bygones be bygones because you're acting and you're in a show together, but y'all didn't have a love for each other, so y'all just pretended to get through it because I guess she believed the girl who the accusers over you. So if you guys are interested in checking out the Really Famous with Cara Mayer Robinson podcast, it's out there on YouTube if you want to check it out. The interview with Chris Noth and what he had to say on that. But yeah, it is what it is. What can you do? I just felt like, yeah. I mean, if we're like Ace Boon Coon, real good friends, then I'm a hit you up. But I don't know. Maybe she ain't see you like that, and you was hurt. So I understand your feelings is hurt or whatever the case is. But like I said before, this is not show friends. This is show business, sir. Welcome to it. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Chris Dove basically detailing his hurtful friendship with SJP, saying that he felt like she betrayed him? I'm sure the next time SJP pops up on Watch What Happens Live, I'm sure her ace boon coon, Andy Cohen, will be asking her what she thinks about what Chris Noth has to say. And she'll probably give a bunch of word salads. Oh, I didn't give credence to things like that. All the things that these people be saying out here, which we know they full of shit. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So let's see where we're going. All right. So we are down to our final four topics. So before we get to our final four, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Kris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Christian Keys. So Christian Keys, the other day got and did a live or whatever the case was, and was talking about all the Queen's men and talking about how he's being sabotaged by Pastor Perry and all the buffoonery that's going on over there with that, and how that man done hijacked and took over his show and a bunch of other stuff. So there's another person that's on the show named Skyh Black, who I believe that um Tyler Perry officiated and paid for the wedding. Which I was sad on there because I'm like, is he another one of the men that's a part of that Perry harem? Like Derek Dixon and all the other ones, and maybe Christian Keys. Because remember, at one point, Christian Keys, and I'm always keep bringing this up, went on social media and started threatening to my some very powerful person. If you heard his voice, you know who it was. You'd be disappointed that he was touching me inappropriately and doing all these things. And so now he's out here calling out Skyh Black, and to the point where Skyh had to send his ass a cease and desist on this situation. So hold on as I pull up the photo. Pull up fat. Pull over. That ass is too fat. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so yeah, he had to take legal action. So now All the Queen's Men cast and crew is falling apart worse than Humpty Dumpty. Oh my God, TMZ. Show creator Christian Keys has also just been hit with a nasty legal letter claiming he's been defaming one of the show's stars and warning him to take it back and apologize or else. Now, TMZ obtained a copy of a cease and desist letter laying out all the drama. Skyh Alvester Black, who plays Addiction Anthony on the BET Plus drama, hired Marty Singer's law firm to send Keys some serious demands as Keys' first and last choice to avoid litigation. It's like, come on. It's like, and then it says, because I'm like, why is it not scrolling? Now, this all apparently stems from a Facebook post last month where Keys called out Black for allegedly being high as a kite on set, and Black is pissed. Now, in the video, Keys explains his plans for expanding the All the Queen's Men universe in spinoffs and prequels on another network. Black insists he wasn't fired because BET Plus actually just canceled the show, but Keys specifically names Black as one of the actors who will not be asked back for any of the related projects. Keys says you don't get to show up inebriated and brag about it. So yeah, Alvester Black won't be back. Skyh won't be back. He will be written out for that and other seasons. Now, in the documents, Black's attorney labels those statements as textbook defamation and says he believes Keys only made the remarks because Black called out Keys for repeatedly bullying cast members on set. Skyh says that the bullying included Keys, well, I'll just call him Keys because I'm settled on it. He said Christian yelled at him and claimed he was high in front of 300 cast and crew members. Interestingly, in the posted video, which I was trying to open up earlier, but it wasn't at the spot that I need to get to, so I'm like, I'm not going to play it. Keys allegedly admits to being abrasive when he chewed out an unnamed actor for going off script, or as he put it, you're not supposed to be ad-libbing, and this is my show. This isn't the stand-up comedy hour. Well, first of all, when it comes to stand-up, you don't equate ad-libbing or whatever with stand-up comedy. It's just as an actor, you're leaving room to play around with different things or to see how things work. But I guess some people aren't good at ad-libbing and kind of catching up and doing all these different things, or doing things on the fly. Some people have to literally follow the script down to the letter. And so it seemed like what they were saying was like, Christian head got a little too big for him, and he want to come up in here and just try to say, oh, this is my show. But then again, yes, you should not be coming to set high to Cooter Brown when you're supposed to be performing. But he wouldn't be the first, allegedly, or the last person to come to set drunk, high. I mean, we've seen many classic films where they talked about that. Especially like with Joan Crawford be going on set drinking. I knew you always had an affinity for the booze and the boys. So they said the letter demands Keys remove the social media post an immediate retraction and apology, and permanently cease and desist any further false and defamatory settlements about Black. The Facebook post appears to have been taken down, but there is still a YouTube video showing the Keys tirade. The YouTube channel doesn't appear to be run by Keys, but Black's lawyers are insisting they demand applies to Keys and anyone acting in concert with him. Well, I ain't definitely playing that video because you're not going to cease and desist me. Now, Keys also doesn't seem to have issued an apology as of yet. Even, I'm not even going to read that last line. To my they doing a whole nother Humpty Dumpty reference. But here's the thing. This is what I found weird. Why is TMZ, of all people, talking about Christian Keys and it's all the Queen's Men thing? Like, this is not even in y'all wheelhouse. I even know at one point y'all be trying to do like a version of TMZ where y'all want to talk about Black stuff. First of all, y'all tried it. Leave that up to the Shade Room. Excuse me. Leave that up to the Jasmine Brand, the Neighborhood Talk. Leave it up to the Black blogs. Hollywood Unlocked. Let them do that. Y'all over here trying to jump in our stuff. Stick to talking about Spencer Pratt and Paris Hilton and all the other beige little boring white folks that y'all like, leave the Black stuff alone. I know y'all be thinking, oh, because you got Charles over there that y'all like, stick to the rivers and the lakes. So with this whole situation, I just find it really weird. Like, why do y'all all of a sudden now y'all care about something going on with this? I'm thinking it's because it's Tyler Perry and the recent allegations with him and keeping them harem of men, where it's like you be having some of the fine. I mean, look at Skyh. Skyh is fine as hell. So body down, the skin is skinning, gorgeous. The look at all that sheen in that facial hair. The tattoos is popping, and it's like, yeah, Tyler has an affinity of finding some of the finest men and giving them a platform. A second one, child. Why did I look down at my watch and say at midnight it's going to be 7 degrees outside? Okay, Chris, focus. But that is just crazy to me. It's just like, yeah, but we all know, like with Tyler Perry, he has an affinity of finding some of the finest men that he want to put all that eye candy, can't act their way out of a paper bag. So I just find it weird that they would just be talking about this, but it's just like, yeah, a cease and desist, that's basically like a warning. That the cease and desist don't really do shit. You can wipe your ass with a cease and desist, but it all comes down to now you're talking about you hiring high profile attorneys. And my thing is this, Skyh, where would he be getting the coins to be afford? Wait, hold on, let me scroll back up because who named that? Did I say Mark Garagos? Because you know, a lot of times when I be talking, um, a lot of the times the stuff will come out of sight, out of mind. Um, I don't know why I can't find it, but because I was trying to see which did I say the attorney? Oh, Marty Singer. That's what he said. Marty Singer is not some cheap regular attorney. He's not the attorney from like I was gonna say Selena and Barnes. They done broke up Nash's Barnes, but there ain't somebody you're just gonna get from there and just get you just a regular schmegular lawyer and then call it a day. Like Marty Singer, that's A list, and it's like when we talk about all the queens, y'all on BET Plus. It's not like y'all on Paramount or one of the bigger networks. It's BET Plus, and I don't mean to diminish, but you know, like when we have conversation in the show, we've said that there's Black famous and there's famous, where you have those blacks that have crossed over, like a Michael B. Jordan. He's crossed over to the other side, so everybody knows who he is and rocks with him. Sky Black, that's Chitlin Circuit famous. So I just don't. So this is kind of made me look at this sideways, and I'm thinking that Sky probably being used as a pawn because Tyler mad at Christian because Christian been showing his ass. He already got away with it with that stuff where he was able to, do his little subtle threat on Instagram where he was going to threat, oh, I got video, audio footage, and all this other stuff. Was able to go on Tyler Perry for that moment, and now he coming with this new stuff. And now it's like, oh, now all of this mess is gonna come in. So it's a hot mess. Straight men, I swear, y'all just be worse than the homosexuals when it comes to all this tit for tat drama on social media. I'm living for it though. I'm thoroughly entertained, but I'll definitely keep abreast of this story as it develops. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Skyh Black sending out a cease and desist towards Christian Keys because apparently Christian was out here defaming him and saying that you came to set under the influence, you was unprofessional. Which, if it was up to any other celebrity in Hollywood, I mean, if people was always out here slandering, everybody be out here with a damn cease and desist. It's giving, these whole cease and desist thing, it's just giving like Tamar Braxton. So on last season, the Braxton tease. Well, you cannot think that. Or it's giving very I was gonna say Sheree from the Housewives. But anyway, so let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Speaking of Peloton that died when the pandemic ended, the days of a home gym is over. Funny enough, I was talking to a coworker about that yesterday because I was like, yeah, I gotta go to the gym. I can't do things at home because he was like, oh, he stopped going after the pandemic because he was asking like what gym I go to because apparently they sent us this thing from the garden that you can go. Let me look it up. Yeah, where it's like we can go to the gym and we can go to Equinox or something. I'm like, Equinox? Why would I want to go to the Equinox? Sure. So oh yeah, there's a complimentary 2-day trial membership at Equinox. So yeah, they're talking about that we can get membership discounts and all this other stuff. And then there's one on Park Avenue and at the Nomad. And I was sitting there like, what the hell would I want to go over there? I already go to a gym. I like my gym. It's Pure Gym. Used to be Blink. They're starting to remake it and make it over. Now it's more futuristic. You literally have to scan yourself into this thing. You get into a Star Trek-esque type pod. Remember like how they stand on the thing in Star Trek and you kind of vanish? It kind of gives that, except you get through the little cylinder thing and then it opens on the other side and you walk through. So it's starting to look a little futuristic. And I think they're doing that because it's going to be 24 hours. So they don't need to have people at the. I was about to tell something else. I was going to say, you know what? If they do that where it's going to be 24 hours and the only way you can get in is a scan, you know how much sexual stuff going to be going down at them gyms? Nobody's there. But then again, they'll probably have cameras everywhere. So it's like, don't be doing that foolishness. How does that work? So yeah, they said it's gonna be 20. They're moving on to making them 24 hours and all this other stuff, and they have like really good equipment in there. So, but Equinox is hella expensive. Cause I was like, when I lived in LA, I used to work at Century City Mall, and they had the Equinox there, and all the famous celebrities would go to that one. They had a private entrance and everything. And I was like, I couldn't even imagine. Like, Equinox is crazy expensive. I would never want to do that. I said, I'll stick to the gym I go to. I still get the good enough results. You don't need to spend $200, $300, $400 to go to the gym and to look good. There's people that can go to a gym that's $30 and put in the same results, allegedly. I want to start going to the gym, but I always get intimidated and never actually say, look, once upon a time I was like that. It took me a long time to build the courage to go to the gym. And then I got um what was it? I just decided to go. And sometimes what I do is I would watch people on how they work. Or well, yeah, I know they won't put it in the locker rooms, but because we've seen them videos online of people hunching out in the open. Well, I've seen them beating their meat. I've seen them taking stuff up the butt. Like I've been seeing like they be on the little machines, and I'm like they be jerk. I'm like, are you okay? How y'all getting away with that? So yeah, you could do it in the locker rooms and the showers and stuff. You can get away with that, and they already do that there. But I was like, if I lived up the block from a gym, I would go at late at night because then it's less people and you can get a lot more done. But I used to be like that. I used to be very intimidated going to the gym when I before I started going. And then I was like, you know what? I went to UFC gym, and what made it easier was that I just took the classes, and the trainers and the stuff that would do the classes, they would teach you like the forms and how to do all the other stuff. So I was able to do that. As far as like weight goes, when I do bench presses, I don't do the thing by itself. I forget what it's called when it's on the machine, it's connected. I do it that way because I don't be trusting myself. I be feeling like I'm gonna drop it and I'm gonna be screaming for help, or I'm gonna crush my chest. So I don't do the bench press by itself. It has to be attached to the thing. But other than that, I don't run on the treadmill no more because I'm really starting to feel my knees is starting to take effect with it. So I just walk. I'll do like 3 miles, Like the same amount. And I think I stuck on 3 miles because I saw the long walk. That's why I only doing it 3 miles now. I walk on the treadmill for like 20 minutes just to warm up. And I do other types of weights and things, but and then squats, all the things you need to do. But that's how I did it. So it's like just start out small and see, like, kind of just watch how other people work out. And then if you want to learn, and now another thing that I've noticed too at my gym, when they have machines there and you want a quick tutorial on how to use them, they actually have barcodes on the machines where you can scan it and up pops a YouTube video that you can watch that actually shows you how to use the machine. I know it's weird that this is what we've become. So gyms have become a little more manageable. But I said this because the reason why I go is because I know me. And I was telling about a coworker of mine. Working out at home, I won't do it. I have to be at a gym. That's the only way you're gonna get me to work out. Because if I do it at home, I got the dumbbells and stuff. They just sit there on the floor. They said, how many people are in the gym in the early morning or morning weekdays? Um, Yesterday, usually when I always go around. I don't really go in the early morning. I used to go early morning, like once upon a time, when depending on my jobs and stuff, I would always go at like 11, 12 o'clock. It would be pretty dead in there, especially when I would go to the Chelsea location. Now I go to the one on 42nd Street. When I'm in there, it's a much bigger place. It's a much bigger gym. So it says it'd be like 35%. And it's always the machines I'll be wanting to use, I'm always able to use it. So, um, or if I can't use the machine, I'll find something else to do. Some people get so fixed. How long how many more? Like, go find something else to mess around with. Leave me alone. I got, I am such a bitch when I work out. Like, do not bother me. I got my music on. I'm in my zone. I'm doing stuff. I do not like when people ask how many more reps. I don't know. I just started. Like, I don't be sitting there thinking about how many reps I'm doing. I just be when I'm in the zone, I do it until I'm tired and I'm ready to move on to the next thing. I don't put a label or number on what I'm doing. It's just them being like, well, I want to use this. So like, okay, go use something else. Leave me alone. Because I do be giving straight up attitude. Like I told y'all, the guy that was in the locker room, his stuff was next to mine. And he's sitting there in a towel staring at me like, can I help you? I don't know if what was going on. I mean, I knew what he wanted to do, but if you're not going to say nothing, I purposely fuck with people because I'm like, closed mouths don't get fed. If you need to get over here to get your stuff, say something. So I purposely do that shit because I can't stand when people just be staring at you thinking like I'm a damn mind reader. I'm not. My name ain't Oda Mae Brown, and I damn sure didn't go to Evelyn Wood. Now, Evelyn Wood is for the speed reading. That's a whole nother situation. So anyway, enough of the gym talk. And let's get into where we going? Okay, let's get into some homosexual news. And let's talk about heated rivalry. So François Arnaud is calling out the NHL because he feels like that because of the success of heated rivalry, that they are pretty much trying to use the show for clout. Because I guess he feels like hockey ain't really doing what needs to be done. I guess depending on the team. But I know when it comes to the Rangers, and I do work at Madison Square Garden, when it comes to the Rangers, they've been kind of suck. Well, not kind of. They have been sucking this season. So, and I did hear 2 days ago at the home game, they actually won. That's an inside joke with all of us when we're at work. So, with all that being said, François, before I get to that story, I want to get to this other thing because apparently people are losing their minds because him and Connor's story were spotted yet again hanging out. And this time they were at, I think, Paris Fashion Week. So, oh yeah, it was Paris Fashion Week. So they said Heated Rivalry co-stars Corner. Why do we keep saying his name like that? My name is Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod. Speaking of which, did y'all see the latest pictures and stuff of Henry Cavill? They already started filming Highlander, which I'm excited about. But anyway, let's talk about this Connor, not the other Connor. So Connor's story and François Arnaud were photographed together in Paris after Arnaud shut down questions about his love life. Yeah, when he told Andy Cohen, none of your fucking business. So Arnaud, who's 40, and Story, who's 25, were spotted in Paris on Monday looking stylish as they exited a Paris Fashion Week party. Story was all smiles and dark jeans, a white t-shirt, and a brown leather jacket featuring a shearling collar, which he paired with black boots. Arnaud opted for a more formal look, wearing a burgundy coat over a blue sweater with tailored pants and brown boots. The sighting comes after Arnaud appeared on Watch What Happens Live and harshly shut down host Andy Cohen's question about his love life. When Andy Cohen asked Arnaud whether he's single these days, the Schitt's Creek alum boldly replied, "None of your fucking business." Cohen then quipped, "It's not my business, but I try. I've got to try." But yeah, because look, and quiet as much as I be windmilling hard on Andy Cohen, the people want to know. People are curious. I mean, François identifies as bisexual. I know a lot of y'all out here like to do the whole bi-erasure thing, but he says he's fluid. He likes men, he likes women. And if these two are hunching, that's their business. Get it in. Shit, get it in for all of us. Because quiet as it's kept, who wouldn't want to see Connor Story getting them cheeks clapped? Now, rumors that Story and Arnaud were dating swirled after they were spotted at JFK Airport together earlier this month. The two also attended the Is This Thing On? Wait, Is This Thing On? Premiere in Los Angeles together last month. So they've been hanging out a lot, which caused speculation. Now, this is where this thing comes in because I remember when they did the whole torch, where him and Hudson, Connor and Hudson got to carry the torch during the Olympic Games, right? So with that happening, there were people that were in the comments that were saying like, well, how they got to carry it when they could have just had some gay athletes that could have done it. And I'm sitting there like, makes you think they're not homosexual in real life just because they haven't told us I'm a card carrying Rainbow Coalition representing homosexual. That doesn't mean that they don't get down like that in real life. But I know we're so used to straight actors playing gay roles, and I'm not sitting up here trying to out anybody, whatever the case is. I'm just trying to show a different side of the situation, playing devil's advocate. So, then they said Arnaud later addressed online harassment he received from some of his fans who want Story to be involved with Hudson Williams, who's 24, who plays Story love interest on Heated Rivalry in real life. Heated Rivalry, well, okay, we don't need to get into the rest of this because you already know like what had happened. So I wanted to get that out of the way at first. That yeah, they were spotted yet again. They've been hanging out, and yeah, it is what it is. So I just don't understand why people getting so caught up out there. If these two are hunching, let them hunch. I just hope that if y'all have a breakup, is amicable if they're dating, because there's nothing worse than being in a relationship with somebody you met on a TV show and y'all 6, 7 seasons later still got to work together and y'all had like a bad breakup and y'all don't like being around each other. We've seen that story happen many a times with a lot of actors, and I don't want y'all to have to be a casualty of that. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the other thing that I want to bring up, which is François calling out the NHL over, using basically the show to sell tickets. So he's accusing the National Hockey League of using the show to sell tickets without addressing homophobia within the sport. The 40-year-old bisexual Canadian who plays New York Admirals captain Scott Hunter on the internationally acclaimed romantic drama Heated Rivalry said he hopes the North American Ice Hockey League does more to support its closeted LGBTQ plus players. Now, earlier this month, the NHL joined the global mania around Heated Rivalry after its commissioner, Gary Bettman, said he binged the show in a single night. Well, yeah, it's only 6 episodes, so it's not that hard to do. A spokesperson for the league later told Rolling Stone that the show's popularity was clearly driving interest into the sport, adding that what those new fans will find is a warm welcome. Well, I will say this. It's somebody who works at Madison Square Garden. The one thing I will say about hockey fans are relatively like family oriented. They come in, they're no BS. They know where they got to go. They know what they got to do. They're really there for the game, the love of it. They can get a little aggressive at times because, hockey is an aggressive sport. But I like the whole family dynamic of the situation. But I do agree, like, when it comes to sports or whatever, the one thing that we need to address is the homophobia that's in sports. Like, one thing I will say about Madison Square Garden, this is not me being biased because I work for them. Yesterday was a Knicks game where they won. Shout out to them. They played Sacramento and kicked their ass, even though the refs was getting on my nerves, but as they always do. But but my point was that yesterday we had Pride Night for, at the Knicks game. So we were celebrating the LGBTQIA plus community as we should. We were giving out, I think it was giving out like fanny packs, whatever, that had like the pride flag and stuff on it. So, you know, one thing I do love about places that I work, which is Madison Square Garden, also City Field, we are very much about celebrating diversity and the LGBTQ plus community. And I think that sports needs to do the same thing. Because I know a lot of people is out here talking about aren't we supposed to be boycotting the NFL and these other things because of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing? Because I know Cardi B is rumored to be performing at the thing with Bad Bunny. Isn't her man also making it to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken? I can't remember. But they were saying, "Well, yeah, you said you wasn't going to perform until they hire Colin Kaepernick back," and I'm just like, um, what I've been hearing is that the NFL have been making strides to be more diverse in in the league and that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't really be paying attention to football like that, but if they are doing that, then they are doing what they got to do to make the changes. I'm sure. I don't know if maybe it counts because it's different with Jay-Z and the music aspect and how he's been diversifying that sort of thing and how they've been open and welcoming of it and how the NFL hasn't backed down from a lot of the stuff that Trump has been kind of putting at them because you have people who are literally about to make who have made political statements in the past like Green Day and Bad Bunny in their music and their performance are going to be a part of the Super Bowl. Well, Bad Bunny's headlining the Super Bowl. Green Day is going to be performing at the Super Bowl. So, um, seeing that, I guess it's there. But I guess what they want to see is diversity and change within how Black athletes should be able to speak up against things that are going on in politics if they choose fit. But I do agree that when it comes down to it, it needs to be a little more openness when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community having a sense of wanting to belong and a sense of community in sports. Like, why can't they? Because I keep saying this before, we have gay sports bars in New York, and I'm sure there are plenty of gay sports bars all over the United States and abroad. But I'm gonna just stick to America because I'm like, we got gay sports bars. We have gays who love watching, whatever sport tickles their fancy. So we can't just sit up here and the only thing gays like to watch is RuPaul's Drag Race, because that's not true. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching RuPaul's Drag Race too, but I'm also a big basketball fan. So why would I not want to be able to enjoy all the things? I'm not really big on hockey. Hockey is because I just work for the Garden, so I work the games. And I understand hockey now that I've been working over 2 years. So um I have a much more understanding, but um what they were basically saying, okay, so then he also went on to say, unfortunately, what new fans might also find is the continued prevalence of homophobia within the sport. A survey of U.S. adults shared in 2023 suggests that ice hockey is considered the most anti-LGBTQ plus sport amongst the big four, which would be American football, hockey, basketball, and baseball. Speaking of, yeah, because I remember when I did City Field and we did Pride Night, there was a lot of gay people that was there at the baseball game. Got their, got their gifts and stuff that we were giving out and everything. So the gays love baseball. They love a man with a big old bat. Now, speaking on the Kelly Clarkson show, Arnaud confronted the disconnect between the NHL's love of heated rivalry and the homophobia still right within the league. So I just hope that the league that's now using the show for tweets and Instagram posts and selling tickets will actually follow through and support open identities for the players. At the time of the reporting, there are currently no out LGBTQ plus male players in the NHL. It is the only major North American male sport league to have never had an out active player. Because we all know, when you look at all the other sports, we've had out football players who have come out of the closet. We've had baseball players who have come out of the closet, and we've had basketball players who have come out of the closet. But yeah, with hockey, is it because it's a lot of Russians? Or is a lot of the train skating and all this stuff that has to do with Russia, similar to the show. And So a lot of these boys are sort of like hardened on the outside, but on the inside they're a little soft and mushy. And if you've seen any of these guys in person, because let me tell you something, when I've seen them, because there's a part of like of the garden where it's like when the athletes are coming in, they're coming up the long little driveway or whatever. When I've seen them and they're tall, these guys are tall. When I've seen them in their suits and those cheeks be, the ass be, I'm like, God damn, the bodies be on point with these men. And they be in their tight suits, walking up to where they're going to go to their locker room and all the other stuff. I just be like, I'm surprised none of y'all came out of the closet, but you cannot be surprised if there's some parts, some men that are part of these sports that are in the closet. Because we have had an athlete or some people who are in the closet who are gay, who were former hockey players that have come out and spoke about this. So yeah, he said you just can't put a logo up and think the work is done. It's about creating an environment where people actually feel safe being themselves. Responding to comments from former hockey player pro Sean Avery, who claimed the show might motivate players to come out. Excuse me. McGillis said he wholeheartedly disagreed. He said it may help that people around, it might help the people around players understand a little more if they're dating somebody, hopefully. Nobody's like, oh yeah, this came out and now I'm ready to come out. It's not happening. And that's from Brock McGillis, who was a UHL goaltender. And look, this is where it came in where Connor was basically, or was it Hudson? One of them came out and said that uh, they had gotten a lot of DMs from people in all sports where they were coming out and they would hear the stories of the creator who would tell them they would get emails or whatever, and they would get DMs and all this other stuff and about, from closeted athletes who wanted to share their stories. So they're out there, they exist. It's just we just need to provide a safe space for these athletes to come out and just be themselves. It's like, yeah, we love the shenanigans, we love being entertained with it all, gladiator style. But at the same time, these people just want to be out here and do the thing that they love and also be able to live their life authentically. Because the last thing y'all want is some closet case putting a woman through a whole bunch of stuff and having them get married and have kids and put on this whole performative thing just because they can't be their authentic selves because the sport, society, people who love the sport won't allow their favorite athlete, their favorite little MVP player, their most valuable player, be themselves. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what François had to say about the league? I mean, I'm like, go ahead, call them out. If they're out here just using the show just to bring eyes on the game, like you really thinking that you're going to make heated rivalry, you're going to do for you're going to do you're going to hope that heated rivalry will do for hockey what Taylor Swift has done for football in regarding to get a lot more people interested in that sport based on her dating Travis Kelce or now being engaged to Travis Kelce. It's like, nah, you're not going to sit up in here and use us for clout. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. If Henry is filming Highlander, does that mean Voltron is delayed, or did he quietly he filmed it already? That I don't know when that movie's coming out, but he filmed that already. It's just all a matter of when Amazon plans on releasing it. Because I remember he filmed that before he went on to the Highlander. Highlander was actually supposed to start filming last year, but he injured himself. He broke his foot. So they had to delay it until this month. I actually thought I totally forgot that they were supposed to start filming it until I saw the pictures on his Instagram of him on set. It's yeah, it's because remember, Highlander was delayed because of an injury. Mhm. But no, I thought from what I remember, he filmed Voltron already. It's just only a matter of time of, okay, now they gotta figure out when they're gonna release it because I haven't heard anything about whether or not they plan on releasing it this year or possibly 2027. Don't forget to drag a certain fan base for crediting a certain artist or reinventing the pop show, giving credit for wait, I forgot. What is that about again? And you said they tried, but too many. Yeah, it could be that too. That the Russians. But we had a conversation on the show about how people in Russia are willing to forego fines to watch it because there's a lot of closeted Russian gays in Russia. And so they're curious to watch because they're hearing about all this hype surrounding the show. I know we moved on, but I'm curious, what music do you listen to in the gym? I know a lot of people listen to that is me. Electronic music. I literally put on like a dance mix that is on Apple Music. I'll go to that. Um, there's a lot of songs that I say, but yes, it's mostly like I told you I'm a house head, so that's usually what I listen to. I know some people like to get into the whole Linkin Park, or you got to listen to that new metal stuff. No, I don't want to be all aggressive, like I want to punch somebody in the face when I'm working out. I need so I listen to a lot of dance music when I'm working out, but not confessions. But yeah, when you're on on Apple Music, it has the different compilations or whatever, or I listen to DJ mixes. So I'll just be looking in my library, or not in my library, because I'll look and say like where it says new or whatever the case is. They'll have a lot of dance music artists that they'll be recommending based off of my history and what I listen to. So they'll just be recommending me stuff. So I was like, well, who is it? Oh, so yeah, like if uh I be saving a lot of stuff in my phone too. You know what I was listening to yesterday? Kelly Osbourne's album "Sleeping Into Nothing." That was a good damn album. I like when she went a little more synthy. But no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit up here and talk about her appearance because she do look crazy. That lady look like she aged 40 years because she keep losing all that freaking weight. But yeah, usually if I'm at the gym, I'm listening to a lot of dance music because that helps me get through all that crazy workouts that I be doing. All right, y'all. So let's get back into the show and let's talk about Queer Eye. So we've been over here. Well, have been speculating for a while. I was like, okay, so when Karamo revealed that he didn't want to do any promo for the show based, off the recommendation of his therapist because, he didn't want to be bullied. He didn't say specifically to be bullied by, but who else is going to be bullied by but his castmates? I mean, who else is he interlinking with? So yeah, so according to the Daily Mail, which they wanted me to get past a paywall to get the article, but child, I always tell you, Kris is persistent. When there's a will, there's a way. I was able to get around that paywall. So um we may actually we may actually have a reason or know why or what was said during their situation that caused, the hot mic moment. So a feud has been brewing on the show Queer Eye, Netflix's resident feel-good series predicated on self-love and empowerment. But drama among its Fab Five cast has suggested the show's positive message may have all been a facade. Of course it was. They all came across as phony on that damn show. That's why I couldn't get into it. It just lacked authenticity for me. So this week, Karamo Brown, who has been a cast member on Queer Eye since Netflix rebooted the 2003 Bravo series in 2018, lifted the lid on behind-the-scenes tensions when he refused to join his co-stars for a series of promotional appearances on Tuesday. Brown, who's 45, claimed he was being mentally and emotionally abused for years and skipped out on his planned TV appearances in an effort to protect his peace from people who seek to destroy it. His absence seemed to come as a surprise to the rest of the Fab Five, Anthony Porowski, Tan France, Jeremiah Brent, and Jonathan Van Ness, as they put on a united front and explained their Fab Five dynamic was complicated. Of course it is. But they thought that um, he was going to come in and he was going to tap dance and do the thing that everybody always does when you're like in Hollywood. That I was just going to come in, I was going to do the job, I was going to go through the motions. We don't got to kiki with each other, whatever the case is. But my thing is, I can't be fake. Like I can't sit up in there, and I know I don't like none of these bitches up here, with the exception of Jeremiah. And I'm just gonna come in and we gonna act like everything is copacetic, and then I'm gonna just walk in, and once the cameras is off, it's like, oh no, I need my separate little room or whatever, because the people working on Good Morning America or the Today Show or CBS This Morning, they're not aware that there's a beef going on between y'all. So if they're not aware, they're not going to put Karamo in a separate unless it is recommended. And then, the Gayle Kings and them, they know, if you're being professional, you can't bring up the fact that they're not as close as they try to perpetuate themselves or present themselves as being on this show. So now an inside source can exclusively share with the Daily Mail the petty details behind the bombshell conversation and why the lifestyle expert isn't expecting an apology from the Fab Five anytime soon. Saying, quote, when it comes to what Karamo's mom heard, it was very petty. While filming the season 10 of Queer Eye in Washington, D.C. last summer, Brown's mother, Charmaine Brown, reportedly visited the set and was given a pair of production headphones to observe filming. They probably didn't know she had them headphones on because I'm sure they knew they were on a mic, but they didn't care. Now, Porowski, France, and Van Ness were allegedly overheard speaking negatively about Brand after he stepped away from the set and Charmaine told her son what she had heard. Their harsh words were said to have created an immediate rift among the cast, and Brown was remained on the outs with his 3 co-stars ever since. So the insider to I know is like, child, when are we going to get to what the fuck was said? See, this is how I know, like, the Daily Mail, y'all get on my damn nerves. Y'all will spend, I tell you, I think they get paid by the damn letter. But so the insider told the Daily Mail that Porowski, France, and Van Ness made comments about how Brown looked and dressed and then turned it into complaining about what he tells the subjects on the show. Since he is the life coach, that obviously not something that anyone wants to hear, that they aren't doing a good job. It's especially hard when it's coming from your so-called friends. As it turned out, Brown had concerns that his fellow cast members were talking behind his back. So when his mother had heard them stirring up drama, that was all confirmed. Saying it turned very sour very fast once Karamo figured out that what they really felt for him. That's according to the source. Now, this isn't the first time the rumors of cast feuds have circulated around Queer Eye. Speculation of tensions between Brown and his co-stars first emerged when he appeared to unfollow all his co-stars apart from interior designer Brent 41 on Instagram. In 2024, it was announced that interior designer Bobby Burke was leaving the show and being replaced by Brent. Burke was 44, then revealed there was an off-camera situation between himself and fashion expert France, sparking, wild theories about the reason behind the exit. Now, after fans noticed that Burke had unfollowed France on social media, he confessed there was a situation, and that's between Tan and I and has nothing to do with the show. It was something personal that had been brewing and nothing romantic, just to clarify that, because we always have to clarify as gay men that we don't all fuck each other. So, should I have unfollowed Tan? No. Maybe I should have just muted him. But that day I was angry, and that's the end of it. We became like siblings, and siblings are always going to fight. However, an explosive role, and then of course they get into there was a Rolling Stone article that reported that France and Porowski conspired to get Burke kicked off the show and replaced by the British star's friend Brent. France has strongly denied the allegations. Didn't I tell y'all that it's always got something to do with? I truly believe that France and Porowski are the problems of that show. There was always something about Anthony that worked my nerve. And y'all gay blogs like Queerty and all y'all think y'all slick with this shit, because I saw today that, so we're going to try to combat what's going on and try to deflect, because so we're going to show some photos of Anthony in a Speedo, thinking that's going to wash the dirty stench out of our mouths over all this drama's going on. Craig, I'm like, sir, you look like an average white boy with a nice body in a Speedo. You are a dime a dozen. I could sneeze and I could see boys 10 times hotter than you in New York that can wash the floor with your ass. So you putting all that up there, that's not going to distract us from the fact that there's a lot of you queens that work on this show that are just nasty. First you did it to Bobby, and now you're doing it to Karamo. And to me, gay Jesus, y'all already know what I'm talking about with that. He the one that he go by he, her, she, them pronoun. They can use all the damn you, they, them, but you're using all the pronouns. He went on to say, I feel like he's a go along to get along type. Like, you're just gonna go along with the situation and just to be a good Kiki sister. But I do feel like the shady ones on the show is Anthony and Tan. There was always something about those two that just rubbed me the wrong way. That I always felt like it's something real skeevy or whatever. And as I told y'all before, when I showed y'all that Gayle King clip, the previous times we talked about it on the show, I said that it gave very much like, if you paid attention to Anthony, while he was trying to be up there with his little puppy eyes or whatever, it's catching the shade that he was throwing. He was throwing little subtleties up in there. Families are complicated and all this other stuff because it was, and that's why I said, Karamo, you real shady, but I live. Because what you did was you threw them off guard. You threw them off their game because you didn't give them enough time to come up with a PR excuse or something to say in regards of you not showing up. So they had to scramble and figure out what they was going to do to explain you not being there. And my thing is, this show is over. You don't gotta explain it, and you ain't gotta hang out with them hoes no more. Now I guess you just got your talk show, which people have criticized you for over that whole pink sauce thing that happened. But everybody's allowed their little L. If we haven't heard these stories about Karamo bullying people, so I don't understand why people trying to erase what he had to deal with and be like, well, he the problem too. I don't know about all of that. I haven't heard those stories about Karamo being problematic. And him doing something where he came at somebody on one episode of a talk show is not excusing or diminishing or making it about, well, he did this over there, so therefore I don't feel sorry for him on this show. That is the most cockamamie dumb shit I've ever heard. So we have two people so far from that show that have talked about, well, have pretty much had to deal with shadiness from their co-stars. So at what point do we kind of look at it as them people over there are the problem? And I'm glad that there was a lot of people that jumped on social media that was dragging Anthony when he posted that thing about the show in the comments. So I was gonna say, is there anything else? Because I think it's gonna just continue to talk about all the other stuff. We don't need to sit and talk about all the other things because we already know about it in regards to like the history of the show and what happened and the expose that Rolling Stone did about gay Jesus, all that other stuff. We don't need to go into that. But I just feel like I said all I need to say regarding this situation, and I'm sure more is gonna come out. So that's all it took. The fact that they was talking about him behind the scenes, which we all knew. I just want to know what it was. So you up in there criticizing, and I'm like, quiet as a scam. A lot of y'all on the show, what exactly do you provide, and what do you give in with these people that's really helping them out? I would love to hear from these people that was on Crowd and be like, did these people actually come up with it and change your life? I highly doubt it. I mean, that's why I miss the old Queer Eye for the Straight guy that used to come on Bravo, because it was like, it was about helping people, but it was also poking fun and not taking itself too seriously. This show they all be trying to act like they fucking Oprah on there. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the tea that they said that they was up in there talking about critiquing the advice that he was giving and also making fun of the way he would dress. And I'm like, child, the shit y'all be winning on the show, y'all be acting like that. You a damn designer. You ain't working for Louis Vuitton. Like you're not a style. You're not Laura Roach. You're not a stylist. So stick. Look, quiet as good. Tan France ain't even a fashionista. So them outfits he be wearing, you be looking like a damn fool. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I briefly dated a closeted. Oh, well, I believe it. You say you briefly dated a closeted Russian. Yeah, that's a lot you got to deal with because there's a lot of self hatred that goes on in that. No lie, Anthony is very attractive. Yes, he is a good looking guy, but you know what? A lot of times when you get with these attractive people, they real ugly and insecure on the inside, and I'm sure a lot of that is showing through his behavior. So I don't put nothing past him. Hey, hello, Sam is back. Well, I feel like I'm losing my voice. It's probably because I've been yelling. Gotta stop yelling. All right, y'all. So now let's get to our final topic. And let's talk about Drag Race UK versus the world. So I didn't even know that the episode came out. I actually thought it was coming out like on Thursday or whatever the case was. And then I was scrolling through YouTube because I was catching up on some videos, whatever. And then I saw they had the episode. I'm like, wait, because sometimes with Paramount Plus, they'll put the first episode up for free. So I was like, wait, the episode's out. So I went and I checked my Wow Presents Plus app, and yeah, the app, the episode's up. So I didn't get to watch it, so I don't even know if it's good or not. I will check it out later on tonight once I'm done wrapping up this show and I put all the timestamps and everything in for today's show. But nevertheless, what I wanted to get to was the queens from the show um are speaking out about the messy trolls. Now, we've had this conversation before where it was talking about like the messy trolls on the show where wait, hold on, because I want to see if I can find it. Probably won't be able to because it's so much stuff that I post. But when it was talking about the trolling, wait, I was like, who died? Somebody went and tagged me in something about a death. Um, where the come on, well, it was like the drag race girls were complaining. My God, this is so annoying. I don't know why my phone is not allowing. It's just like it wants to take forever to scroll up on stuff. But anyway, I'll get to it later. So, what the point I want to get to was the traders recently came out and they had to release a statement because people were jumping on social media throwing shade at a lot of the contestants and stuff on there because apparently y'all can't just watch a show and enjoy it for what the hell it is. And then there was a thing that was on that I had posted where some of the drag race girls jumped up on the line and from season 18 and basically was sitting there talking about how they were getting bullied and stuff from the fandom. I want to see if I'm trying to see if I can find it, but it's like I told y'all before, there's so much stuff that I have that I be posting on social media that it'll probably take me forever to find the article. And then plus on top of that, when I'm trying to scroll, it takes 100 years for me to find what I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't know if I'm. Oh wait, I did find it. So I was like, hoping to pray I was gonna find it. So yeah, Athena Dion, and then I'll get to the other drag race stuff. So yeah, so Athena Dion said this. She said, "Listen, the fun favorite game is good and all, but I'm catching wind of some absolutely disgusting racist messages and threats being sent to some of my sisters in the cast. This is unacceptable behavior. There are people's lives, and these are people's lives, and in a time like this, in any time at all, this won't be tolerated. You are not a fan of the show or drag if or the community if you contribute to this vitriol. Go away forever." And this was tweeted on January 26th of this year. And then Discord Adams jumped in the comments and said, "We're not going to take your hateful comments this year. I can assure you how much I don't need money or support from racist pieces of shit sending hate to my sisters or anyone. I'm sorry y'all are so stupid you can't distinguish the difference between reality and reality TV." Hold on, let me actually pull up the thing so y'all can see it. Because I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just show it to y'all? Courtesy of my Facebook. All right, so yeah, and then she also says, "Seeing the words that y'all are brave enough to send my sisters, my family, I have no respect for the BS, and I promise I'll make your life hell if you send any racist bullshit to anyone." And then Jane Don't jumped in the comments and said, "I cannot believe this needs to be said, but if you're sending racist, hateful shit to any of the girls on my cast, you're a fucking loser and nobody likes you. If you feel like drowning out some of the noise and shifting the energy, go tell Vita she's one of the best drag queens in the world, which like she is." Oh, people coming after Vita, y'all better leave her alone. Because first of all, Vita is sickening. And she be working, I love her. I love Kenya Pleaser. I'm liking a lot of the girls on the show. And Discord also came back and said the fans have gotten way too comfortable with themselves and the way they think they can talk to any of us, and it needs to stop now. Y'all are doing Trump's work for him, dividing and conquering us for free. If you can't handle watching reality TV, then stop. So yeah, that was what I wanted to get to and point that out because I was like, yeah, that's totally true. I don't understand why a lot of y'all can't just watch a show and enjoy it for what it is instead of getting on TV and just thinking that, oh, because you can hide on Twitter behind your little, phone or whatever the case is, that you could just say whatever the hell you want to say to people without no consequence. That's not how that works. But well, apparently y'all, and I can't believe 18 seasons in, y'all still doing this foolishness, and we haven't heard from Wow. We don't hear from Rue. We don't hear from none of them saying like, yeah, y'all need to stop with this negativity. But I guess it just goes on deaf's ears because you're gonna have trolls regardless. So um it's funny how like they said on paper, the RuPaul's Drag Race universe is a place of love, light, and queer joy. Online, it's a different story. So let's get into this UK versus the World season 3 thing, because now these queens are coming out and giving their thoughts on it. So as Drag Race UK versus the World, a franchise that seems to generate endless fan discourse, returns for season 3, the cast have reflected on how they deal with trolls and negativity. When Tia Coffee won, deservingly might we add, season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World, season 2 in 2024, the response online was nothing short of vile. On season 1, contestant Pagina Heels caught flack for sending home Jimbo, which is why they had to come up with that whole damn season where they basically shaped it up for her to win. Eventual winner, Blue Hydrangea, then got similar hatred from giving Pangina the chop. Also in 2024, Drag Race UK's Kitty Scott Claus was bombarded with vitriol for a few caustic comments on Global All Stars, and last year, four-time returnee, Ginger Minge, faced intense scrutiny after winning All Stars 10. Well, the Ginger Minge thing, and there's still discourses about it going on now. Like, I did a video. There's been other queens that have gone online and done videos regarding the whole, but that's because Ginger's been doing interviews with Kelly Mansell and um, Monet Exchange and so many other people. Nicole Byer, she's been out here doing I don't know, she's been out here doing a lot of interviews. So it's been getting a lot of, it's been reigniting a lot of old stuff. So I know a lot of people did have a problem with that, and I think maybe because look, we all were a fan of Ginger Minge, but then when we saw this season, the last season of All Stars, it just felt like the way production went about it is why people were kind of more or less pissed off, and the fact that Ginger was making excuses like she couldn't see the forest for the trees, I think that was getting people even more upset. So now in 2026, returning to Drag Race is a big decision. Is the potential for fan backlash worth the joy? Some former stars like Drag Race UK's River Medway think not. Others take the risk. So yeah, so a lot of the queens from the upcoming season went and spoke out. I'm gonna read a couple of them. I don't want to go through all this a lot. So the only Naomi went and said, for me, the fandom is not something that I'm afraid of because I feel like it's a tool in a lot of ways, and they can amplify you. At the same time, I try to go into the season with the mindset of this is happening right now when we are timing it. And as soon as this goes out into the world, this is not my baby anymore. Whenever people think about my looks, my personality, my talents, that is not on me. That is an opinion of a stranger that I've never met on the internet. And if they love me, great. If they don't love me, I'm not going to let that affect me. I feel like if you want to go to a the versus the world season, we know that we're eliminating ourselves. You have to be unafraid of the audience because you have to play the game your way and the way that works are best for you. If you're afraid of fandom, I feel like that's going to make a very boring season. Hence why we always talk about don't come in with the whole self-producing thing. Because if you come in and you start trying to produce yourself and produce the show, people will be able to see through that. And that's not what people want to see. So you just got to come in. You got to play the game. You can't worry. You got to tune out the noise. You can't worry about what these people online are saying. It's a show. It's a game. We're there to enjoy the game and to get caught up in the shenanigans of it all. And you can't let these outsiders come in and deter you from that. Now, Minty Fred said, I don't really want to focus on the people who have negative things to say. I'm more focused on, of course, myself, the competition, and also the fandom here in the Philippines. It's really crazy. They are really supportive. I know they have my back. Each of these queens are in this competition for a reason, and we're already who we are before this competition. So fuck those comments. We're already stars and queens in our own ways. Cause I also say this, all that keyboard warrior mess, they don't have the balls to say all of this to your face if they were ever to meet you. Trustably, they won't. Now, Fontana says, I've always been the most effeminate little kid out there. I grew in an environment that was very hateful towards me. I was very bullied. When I did Drag Race Sweden, it was the very first time in my life I could experience some sort of love from people, especially from strangers. I'm so grateful for the stars for the fans, sorry, because they made me tour all around the world. They put me on billboards, magazines. They made me hashtag Team Fontana on Drag Race Sweden hit more. Wait, what? They made my hashtag Team Fontana on Drag Race Sweden hit more than 1 million impressions. So I'm so thankful for these people. So I cannot wait to reach a global audience and to show them that Team Fontana is real. Um, Fontana says, I learned a lot from my previous season. I got a bad negative comment. I got the bad negative comment energies, and I learned that we cannot impress everybody in the world. We cannot make everybody in the world love us, you know? In the room, it's gonna be at least one person who's gonna hate you. I learned just let it go. Just fuck it off. Just be yourself. Just do your thing. I'm here with the good intention. I'm here to spread love, spreading creativity, and show my art. And that's what you have to do. You have to just go in having a sense of who you are and tune out the noise. Kate Butch said it's hard as UK representatives, UK versus the world. Though UK has won versus the world both times, it's been on. That's kind of the back of your mind. And then, of course, the fans have noticed that as well. I mean, if it's in the UK, shouldn't a UK person win, or does that feel like it's biased? A lot of the comments have been amazing, and a lot of the comments have been based on suppositions and expectations and assumptions, really. The comments people have made, like, we know how this season's going to go. We know that they're going to pick or treat the UK queens. They are just assumptions. And what I would say to people is expect the unexpected because you are mistaken. We know what happens. We got the facts. And if a UK girl wins, so what? It's called UK versus the world. And I guess they feel there's a sort of bias. I mean, hello, welcome to Drag Race. There's always some sort of bias. Okay, let's see. What did Zafira say? She said, just because you're supporting this one country doesn't mean that you can't like any other queens from other franchises or other countries. Like the same way that maybe, yes, I am Team UK, but I also represent that side of me that is Team Philippines. However, the fact that I get to compete with Team Mexico and Team Germany, come on, this is a celebration of the world, not just individual countries. So she's saying support everybody. And Mylene de Verga says this is actually my third reality TV show, having done both Canada's Drag Race and The Traitors Canada, and now RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the world. So now, by now, I know not to dig for affirmations and validations online because all it takes is that one rude motherfucker with something nasty to say, and the rest of my day is shit. Protecting my sanity has been my number one priority this time around, and I ain't leaving that to chance. Let me feel my goats. And last but certainly not least, Mariah Balenciaga says, to be completely honest, I don't allow the fan base or fandom to determine anything I do or say. I never have, never will. People who will like or love me will do so because I am being myself. So you just gotta go in and be assured of who you are, be yourself. I know it's hard, but just kill the noise. Don't let these people affect you. Stay off social media. Well, Twitter. I don't really go on Twitter for anything other than just posting my articles and stuff. But just in order to protect your sanity, it's just like people just enjoy the show and stop just trying to come in and just project your negative, disgusting comments because you feel like these people aren't human and you don't know them personally that you can go off and say stuff. It's like with me. I watch these shows and I get pissed off during certain things that goes on, but I don't go personally tagging and tweeting and talking about, oh, you're a hateful person, go to hell. Like I don't like who has the time to be projecting that kind of energy? But maybe it's different for me because I also have a platform and me doing this show. Um, I'm giving my overall thoughts in this form instead of me having a angry tweet or whatever. But also, if I'm getting criticisms of what's going on in a reality show, y'all don't be hearing me going and call, oh, this person needs to go to hell. Like I don't be up in here being nasty towards them. I say that for these ignorant ass politicians currently in the White House. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding, how the queens deal with bullying and everything on social media? Not only just with UK versus the world, but also Drag Race. I talked about US Drag Race with season 18 and what they're dealing with. They're dealing with hate. And then, of course, the Traitors, where they were just dealing with a lot of online trolls and bullying and things. I just think in this day and age, people need to just grow the hell up. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Oh, not Auntie being 10 years old and we still don't have a new album. um, Happy 10 years of Auntie Paper Magazine said Rihanna delivered the best farewell and go. I feel like she just needs to not. I just think Rihanna don't need to come out with new music. She don't. The passion's not there. She doesn't want to be there no more. Auntie is still a great record. I love that song she did with SZA. That's like one of my favorite records off that album. I mean, I like the album as a whole, but and to me, it's the most. It's her best work. It's her most cohesive. And if the passion isn't there, and you feel like you can't follow it up, because you're making your billions as a businesswoman and you got your kids and you're being a mother and you don't want to be out here perform. Like, if the passion isn't there, don't do it. I know the Rihanna Navy is going to be mad, but there's other artists out here y'all could like and live for. I watched the premiere episode yesterday and I'm surprisingly hooked. I will be tuned in, even though I know the queen I'm rooting for gets I was hearing that. I'm hearing good things about this new season. They said that it is not short on drama. Even though I remember you said that you wasn't all that excited over the people that was going to be on this season. Oh my God, I'm sitting there yawning on camera. I'm assuming the queens getting threats are Vita and Mia, just because they question if Briar's fate was real or not. Probably. But also oh yeah, they did mention Vita, because it was like, yeah, they did question the feigning of Briar. But that was what happened at the time. And you got to realize also, they know how y'all getting a 40, well, I was going to say 40. Actually, the show was an hour and a half. But with commercials, it's probably like a full hour. And then 30 minutes of commercials cut in between. So you're getting an hour of these people's, of what went on in these people's lives, where they're shooting 14 to 16 hours. It's all zhuzhed into an hour. So you don't know how Briar was behind the scenes in a lot of situations because you ain't see it on TV. But people assume because what they see in the finished product, that's all of the story. And why not question it? There were a lot of people that were questioning whether or not Briar's faint was real or not. Sidebar, I scrolled through Briar's YouTube and it looks like she's a Madonna stan. She performed Frozen 2 years ago and made her background visuals inspired by the Ray of Light photo shoot and logo. Well, who wouldn't be inspired by the Queen? Will never understand the mindset it takes to be a bigot while watching a black. Hello, that's what I don't understand either. Because at the end of the day, they love the fact that we entertain them, and that's what black people are there for. They're there for the entertainment of white folks. And then they be the main ones that jump on the screen. And if you ain't tap dancing the right way, they ready to call you out your name. Oh yeah, I did hear that song. When I saw that Streets of Minneapolis, I was like, is that a take on his song Streets of Philadelphia? Because remember, he did that song for the Philadelphia soundtrack. And I remember that song was a big hit when it came out back then. So I wonder if it's a remix or if it's just a new song. It just so happens to kind of have the title similar to, Subculture is dead, the algorithm also. Yeah, well, we all tend to be slaves of that algorithm. Or be out here algorithm hustling. Or to get them eyes on the show. Unalive the Underground. He said, word is this Friday. We're getting all right, Mariah. We'll see. No, you talking about has Briar said anything about what? Um has Briar said anything about the feigning thing? I thought, didn't we talk about that on the show in the last episode? I feel like we talked about it when she said that when she got home, she found out when she went to the doctor that she had pneumonia. I'm gonna say what Trump getting. Well, then again, when you talking about time is running out, well, the word on the curb is because Kyle Kalinske did a story the other day. I still haven't even gotten around to watching that video, but Kyle Kalinske did a video where it said that a doctor predicted that this year might be his last year. Him and Ray J might be the ones allegedly, because Ray J just told me he only got a couple of months left to live, and talking about because that dementia is increasing, Molly might be in danger. But look, I'm not sitting out here speculating. When people when that man upstairs called him home, but then again, when you if you are someone who believes in a heaven and a hell, with all the things that you've done to people, not just during your presidential term, but prior to, I can't see you getting into a heaven. Even he said he don't believe he going to heaven. So well, she's dropping a new song. First of all, I was like in the gym yesterday and a remix of Sweat came on in my headphones and I was working out to it. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, RuPaul did a song called Sweat off his Foxy Lady album. Reach 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was like, RuPaul did that song once upon a time on his Foxy Lady album. Sure does. All right, y'all. So now looks like we are at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Kris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not already, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Kris Avalon Unfiltered. I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of the show, Lord willing, if there's some good topics. Of course, I will always find some good topics for this show. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for kicking with me in the comments. And until next time, ciao, darlings.